Part 213. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2125. With an existence near the peak of the primary level of the galaxy to become the Lord of the Alliance, things will be much easier. Soon, an alliance named Purge the Evil Forces in the Starry Sky was born. The power of this alliance fully covered about 13 starry sky level forces in the surrounding starry sky. In other words, there were fully 13 galaxy level primary forces. Strong men join in. Moreover, they were vaguely encircling the Yin-Yang sect, which made it difficult for the Yin-Yang sect to escape. Of course, at the beginning, the evil forces in the starry sky did not directly attack the Yin-Yang section. They only said that there were evil forces in this starry sky, and symbolically attacked several star-level forces. Killing the stars in the forces, or blocking the transactions of those forces, etc., and finally had to surrender, so a large number of people around them praised this alliance as an alliance that did good things, because those who were initially captured, it's a typical example, and it's really not a good thing. But gradually, a month after the alliance was announced to be formed, the starry sky is extremely chaotic. Certain stars and half-stars have completely occupied that starry sky, causing countless people to live a miserable life. Our alliance upholds the mission of relieving the sufferings of the people in the nearby stars. My original intention and goal this time is to be within that starry sky. I hope that during this period, some forces involved in that starry sky will withdraw on their own. The Alliance to Eradicate Evil Forces actually announced in a press conference that they would eradicate the chaotic starry sky where Billy and the others were located. You know, after Billy gradually started to move under the name of Tutu sect, the Yin-Yang sect began to pour resources into this place, and invested a lot of resources. It seems that they are preparing to take this place as their own territory. But in this case, all the efforts of the Yin-Yang sect will be in vain, which is almost impossible. Besides, that land of chaotic starry sky is no longer that far away from the current border of Yin-Yang section. It can be said to be just a close neighbor. If the Alliance army hits there, it means that Yin-Yang sect is directly facing the Alliance army. This is something that the Yin-Yang sect cannot accept. This sect firmly resists the so-called alliance of purging evil forces. This is just a way to eradicate dissidents in the name of purging evil forces. We urge all parties to sit down and discuss the future of the starry sky in matters of peace, never make judgments that are detrimental to the interests of all parties. The spokesperson of the Yin-Yang sect was still very restrained. Even when the Alliance army was about to enter the vicinity of the Yin-Yang sect, he still did not use excessive rhetoric. It's just that these words began to become harsher little by little as the Alliance army carried out preliminary work and gradually began to gather troops and powerful men near the chaotic starry sky. Our Yin-Yang sect once again urges all parties to clearly understand the situation in the starry sky and not to misjudge. Today, we regret to see that some troops under the banner of the Alliance continue to invade. Here, the Yin-Yang sect expresses that it will not sit idly by. Once again, the Yin-Yang sect will take necessary actions against any invasion that affects our section. If all parties are unwilling to cause a war, please do not press any further. The spokesperson of the Yin-Yang sect can be said to be very anxious recently. Although his words were becoming more severe day by day, he did not dare to speak too fully, because he had not yet received a response from the superiors. The sixth disciple, the unicorn creature, saw that the situation was getting more serious day by day, and contacted him again. After being scolded by his parents through remote messaging, he became a coward and no longer dared to come out to preside over important events, or even expressed his opinions. As a result, no one in the entire Yin-Yang sect came out to express his attitude. Without the consent of Yin-Yang himself, no one dares to directly cause a war. This time is different from before. The Yin-Yang sect will face an alliance army with 13 galaxy levels. If actions and sanctions are launched rashly, it will cause double retaliation, both economic and military. Not good, it was the result of the collapse of the yin-yang sect. So no one dares to bear this pressure. In all this, only one person can express his opinion and make the final decision. That is yin-yang, Jia Yan himself. Poof. Poof, poof. A heartbeat-like sound has been transmitted in the subspace. Within that huge positive and negative planet, the sound came from here. If someone saw it, they would definitely be shocked, because inside the planet, there is actually a huge mosquito hiding here, gradually increasing its strength. Jia Yan not only has to improve his strength, but also suppress his evolutionary mutation characteristics. Don't show up, condensate. I have only been promoted to the peak of the intermediate galaxy. What if I mutate, then what if I am promoted to Territory Lord? I doubt that when I am promoted to Territory Lord, condensate will no longer have the power to burst out. Jia Yan's reason for preventing the condensation from appearing is very simple, that is, to prevent himself from mutating. Mutation is not a breakthrough at this small level. Although the Territory Lord is still considered an intermediate galaxy level, he is already different from the average intermediate galaxy level in every aspect, and his strength has also changed drastically, so it is better to leave the mutation until then. As for the improved strength this time, he feels that even if there is no mutation, there will be no loss in strength. It is just that the body has reached the limit of this strength. This will make it easier for him to perform without having to adapt to the new body. To understand all this, Jia Yan sucked the speed and overall improvement plan of the Star Core, and he was also very methodical. Without the pressure of mutation, there is no need to change his body. This makes it very simple for Jia Yan. He can just directly improve his strength without considering the direction of future mutation. Gurgling gurgling. If you don't have any power, go to the outside world and absorb some Star Core. If there is no direction for improvement, just recall the battles over the years and see the strength of most of the mid-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy. In this way, inspiration and direction will easily appear. For Jia Yan, in many cases, what limits him is just the opportunity for improvement. Energy and talent are not things he considers yet. At least before the Territory Lord, he felt that he would not have a big bottleneck. This was the evolved beast. Buzz buzz. The entire planet began to vibrate as Jia Yan further absorbed Star Core energy and his body vibrated. The subspace amplifies these vibrations and projects them far away. Even the starry sky outside the subspace has a great impact. The nearby waterways have long been changed. No warships or merchant ships dare to go through this area anymore. Starry sky. And this impact will be far-reaching. Everyone can see that in this land of stars, in addition to the influence of subspace talents, it is also the legacy of a large number of positive and negative realizations. Even in the past, 100 years, 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years, this influence will remain and disappear very slowly. Therefore, it is foreseeable that in the future this place will become a holy land for cultivation of yin-yang sect and subspace talent practitioners. Even people without subspace talent may be induced to develop subspace talent. Of course, only people from the yin-yang sect will come here in the future, and outsiders will definitely not be able to get a piece of the pie here. It caused such a big movement and a large amount of power to be released to the outside world. Jia Yan himself did not intend to do this. After all, even if he could extract the power from the Star Core at this time, the speed of extraction would not be come on. In fact, he himself still has some attachments. If the promotion fails, then he will lose a lot. It will definitely take more than half a year to replenish his energy. Not to mention, his confidence in the promotion will suffer a big loss and he will become less confident. It's just that Jia Yan has been preparing for so long. Is it possible to fail? Impossible. Yin yin yin. Just as the pressure on the yin-yang sect from the outside world was gradually increasing, and the coalition troops officially entered the chaotic starry sky, the movement caused by the deep space of the starry sky not far away from the yin-yang star became increasingly louder and louder. Finally, at some point, boom! Within the subspace, the 800-kilometer diameter positive and negative planet expanded for a moment and almost exploded. Fortunately, the planet is still a planet, and ordinary power that can cause it to expand is already very terrifying. If you want to cause it to explode from the inside, that is an effect that can only be caused by the strength of the domain lord. But this power is not the territory lord, so it's not too far off. The peak of galaxy intermediate level. Yes, this expansion was the result of Jia Yan violently breaking through the middle level barrier of the galaxy. He finally reached the peak of the middle level of the galaxy within this starry sky, which can be regarded as achieving his original intention. The mission of the Yin-Yang sect was to promote him, and now he finally got what he wanted. Ha 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 ha, I have been promoted. From today on, I am the peak existence of the middle level galaxy. Jia Yan was in the center of the planet. He couldn't hold back any longer and started to be wildly happy. The peak of intermediate galaxy was a level he had waited for a long time to reach. For Jia Yan, this level has really made him wait for too long. It is not an exaggeration to say that he has seen through the autumn water. But all this is worth it. For many powerful people in the outside world, the peak of the intermediate galaxy is an earth-shaking change from the normal intermediate galaxy. Otherwise, there would not be so many powerful people who have been strongly demanding that the intermediate galaxy must be included in the starry sky. At the pinnacle, a new level will be divided. Of course, the territory lord will also be divided into a new level. These two levels will be divided into the same level as the galaxy intermediate level. It is a bit too funny. It's just that Jia Yan doesn't care about this. He only knows that he has been promoted successfully. And it is a level promoted through Yin and Yang Dao. This body. Jia Yan was inside the planet, feeling his body after breaking through the barrier. He muttered for a while, then marveled slightly. He suppressed the mutation, so his body shouldn't have been greatly enhanced. Unexpectedly, he felt that his body had once again become more solid after his strength reached the peak of the intermediate galaxy. This is actually a normal creature. The change is brought about by promotion. Although the effect is not as great as my direct mutation, it is also a plan to increase the physical limitations. This is the first time for me to experience the changes that normal strong people have. A heightened sense of feeling. Jia Yan clicked his tongue in surprise, but he still couldn't hold it back and diverted his attention to feel the power of his brain waves. My brain wave power is also different from before, it can be said to be earth-shaking. Specifically, if his brainwave power was like a bowl of water before, now it is like a basin of water. With an instant promotion, he has entered a new world. Very good. It can be said that my strength has doubled and doubled in a short period of time. Of course, this requires me to get familiar with the new strength. If you give me a certain amount of time, I won't be able to defeat the veteran galaxy mid-level. The pinnacle, like, black sheep. Thinking of the black sheep, Jia Yan couldn't help but smile. He just couldn't swallow that breath, so he worked hard to improve his strength, just to fight black sheep before he was promoted. Now, that moment has arrived. Just when Jia Yan was thinking about distant things, his expression suddenly changed. Because he felt the sound of incoming communication coming from inside the Edisha not far away. Find the book garden. Bang bang bang. The giant mosquito protruded with great force inside the planet. The core of the entire planet, which had just been combined into one piece, began to vibrate a lot, and a huge hole appeared again. Among them, Jia Yan had already passed through here and forced a huge hole. Not long after, a huge hole suddenly appeared on the smooth surface of the planet. The giant mosquito pierced the hole with one of its front legs, and then its body, which was 30 kilometers long, emerged from it. Adisha, Please pick up the communication for me. Okay master, congratulations on your successful promotion. Edisha knows that your promotion will go smoothly. Editha turned into a mosquito of light and shadow, flying around Jiayan, looking even happier than Jiayan. Haha, thank you for your congratulations. This promotion should have been so smooth. After all, after so many things, if I still can't be promoted successfully, it can only mean that my talent has come to an end. But now it seems that I can still getting promoted. Jiayan responded with a smile. Not long after, the signal from inside the Aditha was transmitted to the planet. Tell me, what's the matter? Jiayan simulated Yin and Yang's voice and asked calmly. He knew that during his training, especially when he achieved a breakthrough, even his several clones would not move at all, because he had completely returned his energy to his true body. So if there is anything going on outside, he won't know about it. And he has said before that if there is no big deal, don't disturb his practice, so when this news comes, it must be a big deal. After Jiayan's words were spoken, a voice of ecstasy suddenly came from the other end of the communication. Teacher, Master. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2126. Master, you have finally received the call. Master, 13 major galaxy-level forces have formed a coalition to hunt down Senior Sister and me in the chaotic star territory. If they had not been watching our sex reaction, it is estimated that Senior Sister and I would have he has been dead for a long time. Master, what do you think we should do now? Should we return to the sect? The 13 major galaxy-level forces? Haha, these clowns have finally joined forces. But it's normal. A group of weak people can only stick together. Jiayan snorted coldly, and then on the other end of the communication, Now Pin, who was frightened, continued calmly, don't worry, you and your senior sister will be fine. I will rush over as a teacher. But what appears this time will not be the normal identity of the teacher, but the true form of the teacher. When you see it, just don't be shocked. Jiayan is no longer ready to pretend. With his strength fully restored, he has made further progress. It can be said that he has almost no opponents in this peaceful star field, so he no longer has to force himself to pretend to be yin and yang. But, in the future, he will be yin yang, and yin yang will be him. Jiayan originally wanted to give himself another name, but now it seems that the name yin yang really suits him. Ah! Real body. This, okay, Master, they are calling again, and my disciple is looking forward to your arrival. While talking, Aopin hung up the communication, which showed the tension of the war. Without even understanding the real person Jiayan was talking about, Jiayan felt that this apprentice was really a bit boring. But it's boring anyway. I'm my disciple and you can bully me whenever you want. Humph. Jiayan snorted coldly and flew up from the twisted subspace, away from the planet that had just contributed the star core. This planet has been used once. If he wants to restore it so that it can be used next time, it will not be too fast. Even if Jiayan tries it again, it will only be a waste of his own energy and the gain will not be worth the loss, so he is ready to wait for the planet to recover. Besides, if it can be given to the disciples of the Yin-Yang sect for cultivation purposes, it can be regarded as waste. Of course, now is not the time to think about the planet. I want to see how arrogant the so-called 13th Alliance army is. It just so happens that I have broken through to the peak of the intermediate galaxy. You can use it as a chess piece for my training. I hope you have enough strength to make me happy. Jiayan sneered and flew. The Edissa behind him was like a shadow, following Jiayan. After Jiayan signaled, the entire Edissa clicked and latched onto his back. Became Jiayan's backpack. This is the mission of the Edissa now. After all, Jiayan has already reached a height of 30 kilometers, and the Edessa has long been no longer his spaceship. Puff. After the backpack was buckled, the Edessa spewed out a ball of flames, and then there was some kind of propulsion force in the subspace, which suddenly spread out, regardless of wasting its own energy, and rushed out like a fly. This is something that the Aditha can only do after a lot of repairs. If it had been in the star field when it first came to the star field, it would probably fall apart after such a short sprint. Ha ha ha, the yin-yang sect is like an extremely weak sect. What about your fighting power? Didn't you agree that each one of you is very powerful? Why is there no fighting power now? On a planet, a group of yin-yang sect members resisted with great difficulty the coalition soldiers coming from the outside world. It's not that the people of the yin-yang sect are too weak. In fact, the fighting power they have shown has shocked the soldiers and strongmen of the entire coalition. An Earth-level yin-yang sect strongman is likely to be able to fight against a heaven-level person by himself. This is because the combat power gap between the Earth-level and heaven-level is not that huge in nature. Everyone in the Earth-level yin-yang sect uses a certain weapon. After some special positive and negative combat power, or the primary combat magic weapons leaked from the yin-yang sect's training star, the situation will be reversed, and the yin-yang sect will become an Earth-level one, even more powerful than the heaven-level ones. Even the heaven-level yin-yang sects and the starry sky-level members of the allied forces often have heaven-level single-person kills of the starry sky level, but this situation is much rarer. But the yin-yang sect has another huge weapon, which is the joint move. Once everyone in the yin-yang sect sets up a formation and comes up with a joint fighting technique, their fighting power will become extremely powerful because of their cooperation. Everyone in the yin-yang sect will think that their strength is not strong enough, but in the battle, the greater their self-confidence, because each of them has seen that they are really different from the strong people in the outside world. General differences in strength. He is very strong, and if it were a single person of the same level, he would definitely be able to win. The problem is that the opponents faced by the yin-yang sect are a group of more powerful people from galaxy-level forces. You must know that there are 13 galaxy-level beings who have been operating in this starry sky for more than 100 years. One of them has even been operating for more than 300 years. Their territory is stable and they have many fans who have followed them for hundreds of years. Among the people, many strong men were born. Regardless of the population or the number of strong men, how could the yin-yang sect, a newly developed force, be able to compare with the other party? Therefore, although the strong men of the yin-yang sect are far stronger than each other at the same level individually, compared with the total number of strong men and the number of stronger beings, let alone the 13 major forces, compared with a weaker force, the yin-yang sect does not have an advantage, and may even become a weak one. But these 13 forces actually formed an alliance to fight against the yin-yang sect, which to them should be a small force. Now, in this chaotic starry sky, the two sides disagree and the fight has really begun. It's just that the casualties will not be very serious, because both the yin-yang sect and the opponent's 13 major alliance armies are testing the opponent's limits and observing the opponent's reaction, because everyone knows that this will definitely not be the opponent. If the battle continues, it is likely to be a protracted battle. In the end, the performance of this battle will be that the Galaxy class will go into battle shirtless and become a battle between strong men. Therefore, everyone wants to observe how would the yin-yang sect leader react to this. If he is extremely strong, he will appear very domineering, but if he is not strong, or has little confidence, then he will retreat, seize every moment, and seize the resources within the yin-yang sect day by day, until the coalition forces after hitting him, he ran away directly. What surprised outsiders was that Yin-Yang, the leader of the yin-yang sect, actually did not take any action. Whether it was getting angry or grabbing resources, it seemed that there was no beginning. On the contrary, within the yin-yang sect, there began to be a lot of comments are being circulated, whether they are angry or fearful, and information is coming one after another, but there is no information about yin and yang. In this regard, all outsiders, including those galaxy-level experts, are wondering whether yin-yang is really practicing, and it has reached a critical moment. This makes many people feel a little restless. Because in their eyes, yin-yang should be a good beginner of the galaxy. If such a strong man goes into retreat, then the one waiting for him to break through is probably the intermediate galaxy. He will be able to break through to the intermediate galaxy. In this starry sky, no one can compete with the galaxy intermediate. Only a galaxy intermediate further away can be confident of dealing with another galaxy intermediate, and that galaxy intermediate is strong. He is still a strong man who grew up in this starry sky. His strength is probably not an opponent of the mid-level galaxy in the outside world, so everyone is thinking that if yin-yang reaches the mid-level galaxy, then everyone will judge his origin. Likewise, he is a mid-level strong man from the galaxy who came from the outside world. His strength. It's scary to think about it. So above this chaotic starry sky, the primary creatures of the 11th galaxy continued to put pressure on the yin-yang sect, and at the same time quietly sent people to the yin-yang sect to inquire about the news, to see if the yin-yang had come out of seclusion or whether he was strong. Big advance news. In fact, within the yin-yang sect, everyone has seen the distortion of the subspace near the yin-yang star, and many people have guessed that yin-yang is practicing in that starry sky. Judging from the increasing distortion and fluctuation of the subspace, yin and yang may have been cultivated to an extremely deep level. These views make a group of galaxy-level beings feel very anxious. If there is a way, they will find ways to interrupt the practice of yin and yang, because once a strong person is interrupted from practicing, he is likely to have a flash of inspiration. The progress will be interrupted, and there will even be no similar desire for promotion in a lifetime, so they believe that this plan is very worth a try. But the problem comes again, that is, yin and yang are practicing in the subspace. In this starry sky, having the ability to enter the subspace and interrupt the cultivation of a galaxy-level being is simply not something that ordinary strong people can do. Rather, it requires subspace talent that has reached at least the stellar level. So how many such existences are there? At least in this starry sky, there is no one. Therefore, this idea is impossible to succeed. The only other ideas left are to force Jia Yan to go out while practicing. The best way is to continue attacking the chaotic starry sky. In this starry sky, not only is it bordering the yin-yang sect, if it is defeated, yin-yang will definitely be restless, and then when he hears this news during practice, it will definitely become difficult to practice. There is another point that is more important, and that is the yin-yang section. The eldest disciple, together with his fifth junior brother Aopin, were trapped in a starry sky at this moment. That is the outer area of the yin-yang section. It is difficult to get there, and the technique used by the coalition forces is very simple, which is to deliberately let the two disciples behave and let them use the name of the Tutu sect to think that they are smart. Wandering in the starry sky, the coalition forces gradually cut off their escape route and drove them to an area with only 3 habitable planets. At this time, they must have discovered that they were trapped in the trap, but knowing and being able to avoid it are different things. It seems that one of the two disciples has good talent and dares to claim to be a rabbit sect, and the other they are star-level existences who think they are very powerful, but in fact they are just 2 idiots. At this time, the coalition forces have not only pushed to the border of yin-yang sect, but also trapped the 2 disciples to death in the starry sky. If yin-yang knew this news, he would definitely think a lot. After all, the cultivation of a strong man is not just a matter of time. In a matter of minutes, many galaxy-level bosses have to break through a level. It takes several years to prepare and cultivate the strength to break through. When was the last time yin and yang were active? How could he break through like this now? Quickly, after hearing the news, he had to consider that if his yin-yang sect was broken through, then he would definitely be interrupted while practicing, and it was even possible that he would encounter something like a galaxy-level attack directly into his subspace. He will definitely be in a dilemma. Should he stop practicing and come forward to deal with the matter, or should he just run away? No matter what Yin and Yang chooses, his practice will be interrupted, so it's hard to say whether he will have similar practice insights next time. The Alliance's thoughts were extremely vicious, but they didn't know that they and others were encountering extremely talented evolved beasts. What's more, Jia Yan was really prepared for this breakthrough. It's been several years, and it seemed like he was always out, using a clone. In fact, he did break through, but what is different from what these galaxy-level thinkers think is that he has broken through to the intermediate galaxy. What he has broken through is not the intermediate galaxy, but the intermediate galaxy that they have to look up to. Peak. It may seem like there is not much difference, but if you understand the creatures of this level, you will know that the middle level of galaxy and the peak of intermediate galaxy are basically two different realms. Just like the middle level peak of the galaxy and the domain master creature are two different levels, the difference between them is like the comparison between a small river and a big river. Therefore, Jia Yan, who has reached the peak of the middle level of galaxy, has finally come out of the mountain. It is foreseeable that everyone in the Yin-Yang sect and the people from the outside Alliance army will be shocked and horrified when they see him. It is no exaggeration to say that Jia Yan currently has no rivals in this peaceful star field. Of course, the existence of the two peak mid-level stars in the galaxy may be able to draw a tie with Jia Yan, but that is all. That's it. Before he was promoted to the peak of the middle-level galaxy, he could escape from the existence of the Domain Lord and the peak of the middle-level galaxy several times. Now that he has reached the peak of the middle-level galaxy, where is the powerful galaxy? Can the top mid-level person completely suppress him? Even if he is a genius, Jia Yan believes that they will never crush him. At least he still has the ability to escape. As for Yin and Yang, tell me quickly whether it's coming or not. Hurry up and call your family master. If you don't call us, we may kill you all. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2127. By the way, why don't you call the little guy behind you to come out? Big brothers all like little rabbits. If you give us little arms and legs, let us eat them. We can let you go. Ha ha ha, she doesn't dare. She's just a little brat, and she's not the leader of Tutu section. If she hadn't been the great disciple of Yin-Yang sect behind her, we would have killed her long ago. By the way, is that what the name is? It seems that although he is a star, he is not very good at Yin-Yang sect, and he has not learned Yin-Yang Dao well. He was the strongest person in our team before. During the battle, I actually lost, and I don't know how injured I was. Ha 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 ha, Yin-Yang Dao, it's awesome, but when it comes to high levels, it really can't work. I'm disappointed. A group of combatants kept shouting loudly outside the Yin-Yang sect's trapped one-star stronghold, which made the remnants of the Yin-Yang sect below filled with indignation and wanted to rush out to fight with the opponent. Ignore them, they won't come down to fight with us. When the senior sister was fighting earlier, she used a life-saving magic weapon given by Master to kill a star-level person. I guess they are still here now. We are worried that if we have this kind of thing in our hands, we will die if we come down. Behind the crowd of Yin-Yang sect members, there was a star-level powerhouse who had suffered serious injuries. He was none other than Aopin. Nowadays, Aopin feels a little uncomfortable. He just fought with an enemy mid-level star. Unexpectedly, he missed and was caught by the opponent. He almost died after being beaten. Fortunately, after he practiced Yin-Yang sect, the surface of his body was covered with the positive and negative forces of yin-yang dao, and his defense was amazing, otherwise he would have died. Moreover, his fighting situation was completely contrary to what those outside scolders said. In fact, his fight with the mid-level star being one level higher was completely lively. If he hadn't been careless for a moment, he would definitely not have lost so quickly. And it's not that he lost to the same level, he actually lost to a creature one level higher. But in the eyes of the other party, if the people of the yin-yang sect didn't defeat a creature one level higher, they just lost to a creature one level higher. Same level? If Aopin can defeat a galaxy level with the strength of his own primary star level, then there is really something wrong, and the entire galaxy will be shaken by this, causing an uproar. Therefore, it was not unfair at all for him to lose to a stellar mid-level player. That's right, they definitely don't dare to come down. Last time I used a life-saving magic weapon that Master gave me. I was very angry. When I reach the star level, I must kill these people. People. Behind Aopin, the leader of the Little Tutu sect, Billy, the chief disciple of the yin-yang sect, cursed with itching teeth. She wasn't hurt at all. It was only when she first encountered her real enemy that Billy was startled. She probably realized then that her reputation and strength could not suppress some people. Moreover, the enemy came with such ferocity that even Aopin, who came from behind to support them, could not stop the opponent's mid-level stellar mid-level warrior and was injured by him. In that situation, Billy almost wanted to cry. But it was a big difference. After a few battles, in order to protect Aopin, Billy used a positive and negative force meteorite about 100 meters in size given by Jia Yan, which was the magic weapon Jia Yan said. After actually killing a star-level enemy, the entire battlefield fell into silence for an instant. The enemy did not dare to advance any further, and Billy and her friends from the yin-yang sect were no longer as panicked as before. Because they know that Billy has similar things, maybe there are all kinds of products. That's scary. It seems that this side is weak, but in fact it's not weak at all. If you really want to take down a group of people on your side, you may have to use a lot of stellar level lives to pile them up. Will the enemy be willing? On the battlefield, there were about 3 star level beings in the Alliance army. They stared eagerly, but did not move forward. As for the yin-yang sect, there are about 50 members who are forced into a corner at the moment. Except for the astral level of Aopin, there is not even a half-star level, let alone a star level. The combat strength ratio between the two sides was simply explosive. Is this the case for the 2 disciples of the yin-yang sect? Ha 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 ha, let me tell you, we are just subordinates of one force in the 13 major coalition forces. You are 2 of the 6 major disciples of the yin-yang sect, and you are actually connected to us. If we can't defeat them, it seems your yin-yang sect is doomed. A star-level being stood in front of the battle array, sneering at the tightly guarded position in front of him. Of course, he was not afraid of the position, but the magic weapons of the 2 disciples. That's right, I think you 2 disciples of the yin-yang sect should surrender. Surrender as soon as possible and donate those magic weapons to our family leader for study. Maybe you can win a lifelong future. Another star-level existence sang in harmony with the previous 2, like a double act. Go away, you guys, it's impossible for us to betray our master. Billy immediately cursed. After becoming familiar with real combat, she began to show courage. Humph, you're just a starry sky. How dare you speak to our stellar class like that? The creature who was named and scolded by Billy turned ugly for a moment, and instantly erupted with a terrifying brainwave power, shocking Billy's location. Buzz. Puff. Next to Billy, Aopin, who was lying down and resting, lightly used his brainwave power to dissolve his brainwave power attack. 3 of you, although you look down on the starry sky class, you are too unkind to have repeatedly targeted my senior sister, the Starry Sky class. Aopin's eyes were full of evil spirits, and he looked like he was ready to fight the three people in front of him. In fact, he and the senior sister, together, found that he had a meteorite explosive given by Jia Yan, and Billy only had one left in her hand. Therefore, there were three enemies facing them at the moment, and they could only deal with two. There is definitely nothing we can do about the remaining one. Aopin's combat power, if faced with the weakest star level under ordinary circumstances, is definitely more than enough. But now he was beaten very seriously by that mid-level star. He was also a little bit weak at the beginning. Silly, if he directly uses the means given by Jia Yan to kill the mid-level star, and he still retains his combat power, then the next thing will be very simple. After all, there will only be so many enemies in a short while, and he wants to allocate his combat power. Come, they can use that time to escape. Unfortunately, there are not so many things. The current situation is that Billy and he are both in a semi-jailed situation. The two magic weapons given by Jia Yan in their hands are not dare to be used for the time being, because it's a life-saving thing. After all, even if the enemies here are eliminated, they have no idea whether more strong men will appear nearby. The thing held in the hand is just to save one's life. Oh, senior sister, so I said, it would be fine if you didn't go out. If you want to take risks in the future, please don't do it this way again, okay? After Aopin sighed, he spoke sincerely to Billy. This was the first time he blamed Billy. In the past, because he felt that his talent was not good enough and his status was not high enough, he did not dare to speak loudly with other disciples. Even if he understood that he was the strongest among all the disciples, it was useless. I know, but what should I do now? Billy nodded. When she said this, she seemed to have grown up a lot because of what happened this time. When she thought about it carefully, she really did something wrong. If she hadn't been playful and wanted to see the outside world, she would definitely not have done it. There will be a play now. Now. Senior sister, just wait, Master will definitely come to pick us up. I believe that Master is like this. Aopin actually said that he believed in Jia Yan. When Billy heard this, her eyes lit up. Yes, I also believe that Master will come, because Master is not the kind of person who abandons his disciples. He looks very cold, but he has a very, very good character. I can feel it. It seemed that both disciples actually had more confidence in Jia Yan than Jia Yan himself. But Jia Yan himself would definitely not think so. If he had not reached the peak of the middle level of the galaxy after practicing halfway, he would definitely not be able to get out of seclusion. The two disciples, although he also devoted some of his feelings, would definitely not to the extent that it can affect his cultivation. Of course, no matter what he would do in that situation, at least now he was doing something trusted by his disciples, approaching the battlefield quickly. And his speed is unbelievable. After all, he is a subspace talent. Moreover, with the Edisha pushing him behind him, even if Jia Yan does not move into the 10-dimensional subspace, he can only fly in 5 or 6 degrees. The speed is also jaw-dropping. Compared with ordinary battleships flying at short distances, it is not slower at all. Haha, is this the alliance force that Chen Bing sent to the chaotic starry sky? It's indeed a big deal. This number is no worse than the forces fighting against the Zerg Queen. Jia Yan saw that within the chaotic starry sky, there were a large number of troops fighting everywhere in the name of exterminating evil forces. In some battlefields, they had actually fought against the troops of the Yin-Yang sect, but there was nothing major. Just casualties. Jia Yan saw all this through observation inside the subspace, but he did not come forward directly. Instead, he flew through the fighting area and flew towards the place where the two disciples were. His first purpose was naturally to rescue his disciple, and then it was time to slowly settle the scores. Now, he has reached the point where he can easily turn the tide no matter what the situation is. After all, the 13th Alliance Army here seems to have many people and many battleships. It seems that the number has reached the level of a huge number of enemies fighting against the Zerg Queen, but the difference in strength is not even a little bit. The enemy in the battle with the Zerg Queen is an existence that has at least reached the galaxy level, and there are even 2 territory lord levels among them. But here, there are only 13 galaxy primary level, with a bunch of weaker attributes. Next, prepare to besiege the yin-yang section. This is a group of strong men from the Peace Star Sky whose strength is not recognized by the outside world. Probably because there is no fighting, so the strength is low but the number is large. Jia Yan only glanced at the battle here for a while, then flew over to the location known from the data. His speed is like a bolt of lightning, no, it should be said to be faster than lightning. Moreover, it flies in the subspace of 5 or 6 degrees, and the enemy generally cannot detect it, because the subspace detection equipment is not that fast in the first place. Many. That should be where my 2 disciples are, let me take a look. Jia Yan flew to a planet and learned from the information that his 2 disciples were besieged on this planet in the starry sky. Jia Yan used his brainwave power to instantly grasp the situation on the planet. The 2 apprentices can be said to be in danger. The 6th disciple, who is also his strongest disciple, is now seriously injured, and the eldest disciple Billy is doing better. It seems that the 6th disciple Aopin has taken good care of his senior sister. It's just that this senior sister seems to have grown a bit, her temperament is not as naughty as before, and she looks much more mature. Jia Yan knew that after going through the war, Billy couldn't grow up even if she didn't want to. This could be regarded as a blessing in misfortune. And the 2 disciples are not dead, so that's fine. If the others are slightly dead, Jia Yan doesn't care. If his disciple dies, there is nothing Jia Yan can do about it. Even if Aopin, a disciple whom Jia Yan is not very familiar with, dies, he has to avenge his disciple. If he has no choice but to kill a few galaxy-level people to sacrifice the flag to his disciple. If it was Billy who died, this little guy would have a slightly different meaning to Jia Yan, because looking at her was like looking at his own junior, so Jia Yan would definitely come to this starry sky to kill. Unless he kills all the leaders of the 13 men, he will not go back to challenge the Zerg Queen. Fortunately, this did not happen. Jia Yan felt the positive and negative meteorites he gave to the 2 disciples again, and then discovered that Billy had used one. Why did you use one? Could it be that some star level is taking action against Billy? Jia Yan is a little weird. Now that he has arrived, the danger is no longer dangerous. Instead, he is calm and relaxed. The disciples are fine. He cannot be so anxious, but watch how these 2 disciples face each other. Enemies. Next, using the Edisha, Jia Yan saw about the previous battle between Billy and Aopin, with Billy using the meteorite. The battle on the planet broke out again. As long as the battle on the planet did not involve the lives of his disciples, Jia Yan was not prepared to take care of it. However, after seeing Aopin risking his own life to protect his senior sister, Jia Yan became a little interested. He never knew what the characteristics of this seemingly strongest disciple were, and whether it was right for him to accept him as his disciple. But now I found that this disciple seemed to attach great importance to friendship, and I was immediately interested. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2128. Senior sister, this time they used the brainwave power of the blockade operation. You hurry up and use the magic weapon given by Master from a distance. In the battle below, the enemy discovered the shortcomings of their use of the magic weapon given by Jia Yan, and used the power of brainwaves to completely cover the position of Aopin and Billy, blocking Billy's movements. As long as Billy's strength is less than half a star level, it is extremely difficult to move freely under the blockade of the brainwave power of the 3-star level experts. This limits her ability to use meteorite explosives. Haha, why don't you go? Young senior sister, please stay. A star-level powerhouse approached this area with a ferocious smile. Buzz buzz. The plan discussed by the three stars is to use the crushing nature of their brainwave power to completely suppress the yin-yang sect disciples in this area. In this way, even if Billy has any more powerful trump card, it's impossible to use it either. I do not go. Billy is actually being protected by the weapon. The enemy's 3-star level powers can hardly cause difficulty in her movement. It would be a bit difficult just to get the meteorite explosives, because it is not a big action operation, and it is difficult to move. She had to use her brainwave power. If any of the 3 stellar powerhouses suddenly increased the threat of brainwave power, her use would be interrupted. The difference in strength is too big, there is absolutely nothing we can do about it. Seeing that Billy wouldn't leave, Aopin was about to die of panic. If I don't leave, I won't be able to leave. I was taught by Master before and I know a technique, which is to rely on the subdimensional properties of the magic weapon given by Master to send people flying far into the subspace with one blow. At least for now, it will last forever. Star cannot stop you, as long as you leave here for 100 million kilometers, you will have a way to survive. I won't leave. Are you the senior sister or am I the senior sister? Billy suddenly became furious and stared at Aopin with piercing eyes. At this moment, Aopin paused, because Billy's eyes were a bit similar to his cheap master Yin Yang. Yes, Billy is the person who is most affected by Yin and Yang. It can even be said that she will be treated by Yin and Yang. In fact, it is because her temper is easy to be overcome, and now it has indeed been overcome, which is very similar to Jia Yan. That means you are very proud and arrogant. Puff. Billy flew to the center of the two fighting camps, and then faced the enemies who were staring at her, as well as the worried eyes behind her, and their expressions were cold and solemn. There is no one in the Yin-Yang sect who is afraid of death, and no one is willing to admit defeat. As a member of the Yin-Yang sect, I live with my head held high, and I must die standing up. This is what my master taught me. If you want to ask me to surrender, then just beat me to death, but I will let you know what it means to be crazy at the end of the road. Billy imitated the feeling of Jia Yan's words. At the same time, she vaguely felt that if Jia Yan encountered such a situation, he would probably say the same thing. In fact, when Billy called like this, Jia Yan in the subspace paused slightly, and then smiled bitterly. This is not his character. It's just that when Jia Yan was teaching little Billy, he deliberately brought out the kind of person he wanted to be. Arrogance were a bit too much. Jia Yan kind of liked this kind of temperament. Unexpectedly, little Billy's talent for imitation is so strong that she has become like this herself. Forget it, in this way, there will be a strong and arrogant person in the Yin-Yang sect in the future, who can be regarded as a hawk. Jia Yan feels that it is not a bad thing. At least there will be fewer problems within the Yin-Yang section. Such a disciple will be able to take charge of many affairs of the sect. Ha ha ha, the Yin-Yang sect is really interesting. The dignified disciple is actually as stupid as a fool. Is he ready to rush out and die? It makes me laugh. This is the Yin-Yang section. It seems to be a force that supports fools. Among the enemy troops at the other end, there was a star level. He shouted with a smile, and then coldly used his brainwave power again, preparing to shock Billy and capture her alive. After all, Billy ran between the two armies. If they didn't seize this opportunity, other teams outside would laugh at them as fools. Groan. Billy didn't wait for the stellar star to release his brainwave power, and his whole body was suddenly filled with light. Then, while raising her brainwave power to the limit, reaching the level of the starry sky, she exerted this extreme power into the meteorite explosives that had been following her in the subspace behind her. This is the life-saving thing that Jia Yan gave to their disciples, and now is the time to use it. Because she has used it several times, Billy is already comfortable with using it. This time she came up with a new usage plan, which was to integrate her body with the magic weapon behind her as much as possible. It's not that the body is fused, but the feeling of brainwave power is fused with the magic weapon behind him. Hey, this little girl is really smart. When I gave them these exploding meteorites, I used a backup method that allowed people to fuse their power, but no one said anything. I originally wanted to test them, but look. Whoever discovered it first, I didn't expect it to be her. Jia Yan was inside the subspace and felt that his apprentice was really powerful, and he couldn't help but feel happy in his heart. In fact, the meteorite explosive was made by Jia Yan with some thought. If they were ordinary meteorite explosives, Jia Yan would be embarrassed to call them magic weapons, but because he spent a certain amount of energy to give these meteorite explosives some different effects, he was able to call himself these manufactured items are called magic weapons. This is probably the first magic weapon with real practical significance within the yin-yang section. Of course, it just doesn't look that good looking and is very rough. But the effect is extremely ideal, that is, it allows the user to have a moment of power to combine the positive and negative forces of meteorite explosives to exert extremely strong power. Although the level of this power is limited by the power of the user's body and the level of the magic weapon itself, because Billy is Jia Yan's personal disciple, she was taught bit by Jia Yan and never her strength has become the starry sky level it is today, so her integration level is probably the strongest among all the disciples. Moreover, this magical weapon was made by Jia Yan, so the effect is naturally not that simple. As a result, Billy's power suddenly broke through the limitations of the starry sky and became a level similar to venerable. Puff. She waved her fist to disperse the brainwave power that had suppressed her body, and her face was filled with an expression of severe pain. After all, she was filled with power that did not belong to her. How could she, with her star-level strength, be able to withstand it? Fortunately, the brainwave power of the star-level existence can be suppressed remotely, which has a huge impact on a star-level person. However, the opponent is replaced by a venerable level person. Although it also has a terrifying impact, it is limited by the distance and the interference of the product. Next, it won't have such a big impact anymore. It's just a pity that the venerable level is still just the venerable level. In the eyes of a group of star-level people on the scene, it has just transformed from an existence as weak as an ant to a bigger ant. Haha, is this your confidence? Using special methods to increase a certain amount of combat effectiveness is amazing. It's a pity. In my opinion, even if Lord Aopin uses this technique, his combat effectiveness will not increase much. Otherwise it might really threaten us. What now? You can get rid of my influence on your brainwave power, but what's the use? The situation is the same, huh? When the stellar star laughed wildly and said the above words, the expression on his face solidified in an instant. Because Billy fused the power of the magical weapon meteorite behind her, it was not as simple as a temporary increase in strength. When she improved her strength, it was true that she wanted to get rid of the enemy's brainwave power control, but more importantly, she wanted to have more perfect control over the meteorite explosives behind her. After all, I borrowed my power from others. How could I not deepen my understanding of meteorite explosives? So in an instant, she revealed a small part of the magic weapon inside the subspace behind her. I didn't want to do this attack originally, because if I always rely on Master's things, Master will regard me as a useless person who can only rely on others. But if I don't use it now, Master will definitely forgive me. Billy's little face suddenly changed from the young and unreasonable little brat to a very sensible and elegant mysterious female master, as cold as ice in an instant. The magic weapon behind her also became completely dazzling, and the whole body turned white. If you didn't know, you would think that Billy was carrying a little sun behind her, so it turned out to be just an ordinary meteorite. The general objects are completely different and have much more to offer. Since you want to drive them all out, I can only use my abilities that I haven't fully understood yet to drive you out. Billy gritted her teeth and sweat broke out on her forehead. It was obvious that she had spent a lot of time mastering this move. Then, little Billy waved her hand, and inside the twisted subspace behind her, the shining meteorite flew directly out of the subspace. Go, go, go. Run away. Facing that group of star-level powerhouses, each one felt the power that completely frightened them from the meteorite that escaped from the subspace. Although they had known for a long time that Billy had used the meteorite with this power last time. Something like that killed a star-level expert, but it seemed like this meteorite was much stronger than last time. The biggest question is, why does this little kid seem to be so proficient in controlling the power of the meteorite? If he didn't run away, he would definitely be caught up and killed by her controlling the meteorite. Not only were the enemies panicking, but Aopin and others behind Billy were also frightened by the image of the senior sister who suddenly showed her power at this moment. Especially for boiled products, my heart is filled with the feeling of selling MaleProtagonist. He came out of the yin-yang sect this time just to help senior sister Billy. In the beginning, he did help a lot. But in the later stage, after Billy relied on the magic weapon given by her master to kill a star, he felt a little strange. But at that time, he could still think that this was just the power given by his master, and that he was still a person whose strength far surpassed that of his senior sister. But now, he finally understood that there was still a difference between his senior sister and himself. He actually wanted to try and use the master's magic weapon before, but after trying it, he came to the conclusion that he could not control the magic weapon perfectly. In other words, if one control was not good, the magic weapon would not be used. It's very possible that you can't hit the right person, which would be a bit embarrassing. So he has been useless before. But now I see that the senior sister has some signs of fusion with the master's magic weapon. Even though she is the one who uses the master's magic weapon the most, this talent is still a bit too strong. No wonder, master values senior sister so much. This hidden talent makes people a little jealous and crazy. That's all, I will cooperate with senior sister. If we can still survive after this battle, then I will need to work harder in the future. Aopin sighed, especially feeling that the same magic weapon behind him might not be able to be used well, let alone fusion. This sigh turned into sadness. Really shocking. Yeah. On Billy's side, she had already fired her bow without turning back, aiming at the 3-star level powerhouses. Her little face was completely red. In her normal state, she could only destroy 1-star level with one strike. This was the reason why the other 3 dared to despise the 2 yin-yang sect disciples. After all, they were 3 people, even if they were killed by 1 strike from the 2 disciples. They still won. Of course, the biggest reason is that the 2 major disciples of the yin-yang sect also understand this and will keep the life-saving weapons in their hands and not take action against them. But now, they think the situation is different. The little kid Billy can't help it and is ready to kill him, but he just doesn't know which one is the unlucky one. They never thought that Billy was not targeting one person, but wanted to kill all 3 of them at once. These 3 people fled in 3 directions. Die. 1 beat and 3 stars, kill. Billy is also considered a genius at naming. She actually thought of the name for this move in an instant. Puff. Bang. Inside the subspace behind him, the fireball-like meteorite that had been stuck at the exit of the subspace, being dragged by the subspace and unable to be spit out at all, accumulated a large amount of kinetic energy, exploded out in an instant, and then chased one of the enemies on the left. Ah! The star-level strong man was mixed in with a bunch of weak people and fled together. He was planning to escape into space, but when he sensed the strange movement behind him, he immediately realized that he was being targeted by Billy. Apart from being horrified, he did not sit still and waited for death. He quickly turned around and faced the coming meteorite luminous body, using up all his strength to prepare to resist it. In his opinion, he is a star-level existence after all. If he explodes with a lifetime of power, even if it is impossible to stop this glowing so-called magic weapon, he can definitely stop most of its kinetic energy, and then even if he is disabled, but at least his life can be saved. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2129. But he looked down upon what Jia Yan had made himself. The power of one blow is completely beyond the ordinary star level. Even if the user is Billy, he still has good attack power. What's more, Billy is extremely smart and took advantage of the space exit level place to make the momentum more abundant. So, with a pop, the shining meteorite shot through a thin layer of paper, completely ignoring the stellar resistance and piercing through his body. How can this be? That star-level existence didn't believe that he died like this. He was very depressed. Just now, the three of them were actually betting to see who would be unlucky enough to be killed by the yin-yang sect's elder sister's trump card. Moreover, he had a 1/3 chance of winning. He of course not. But there's no point in being unwilling, he's already dead. The death of this star-level creature was the joy of the other two star-level creatures, because Billy's meteorite of positive and negative power was suddenly used up, and now they were no longer a threat. Of course, I think there are similar things in Japan, but it is better than having two. Now that one is missing, the next one is a half chance of gambling. For strong people, luck has always been the thing they believe in most. Every strong person thinks that he is the son of destiny, because the growth of strong people is inseparable from luck. Anyway, there is one less threat, so they are naturally excited. Ha ha ha, senior sister, now you are gone. The strong man of the mid-level star had a sneer on his face. In fact, he just used some flowers, that is, he used his mid-level galactic strength to escape faster than the other two. Under such circumstances, unless Billy was targeting him from the beginning, she would definitely kill the nearest being first, so that his safety would be invisibly higher than the other two. Now, Billy's positive and negative power meteorite was gone, and he was close again in an instant. He planned to use this opportunity to control Billy. Anyway, Aoben seemed to be injured and could not counterattack him. He might not even be able to use the positive and negative force meteorites similar to Billy's. But just as he spoke wild words and approached Billy, his words suddenly stopped, and there was a look of fear in his eyes. Because he felt that the Yin-Yang Dao meteorite weapon that had just killed a colleague of his had turned around and approached from behind him extremely quickly. How is it possible? I don't believe it. The star quickly stepped back, and then his face turned completely ugly. Where to retreat? At this moment, Billy's expression was completely ferocious. One can imagine how hard she worked. That's right, she improved her perception of the meteorite, and even borrowed the resonance power of the magic weapon given by Jia Yan to cause a certain energy increase, not to fight against stars, but to be able to better control this magic weapon. As I said before, the reason why magic weapons are magic weapons is because they can be used. If they were just disposable items like before, Jia Yan would not recognize them as magic weapons anymore. Ha. After killing a star-level meteorite, the energy of that positive and negative force was reduced a lot, but it still had more than half of it. In the past, Billy and the others used this kind of meteorite, and finally they used it on their own. This power rushes out of the starry sky and into the vast universe. It may not stop until it hits the next planet or something after countless years. But at this moment, Billy used the new properties that Jia Yan gave to this meteorite explosive, that is, the property of being controllable. As a result, the explosive became controllable, and it gained another turn towards the ability of that stellar mid-level creature. This, hide. The stellar mid-level creature was worthy of being a stellar mid-level creature. After his expression changed dramatically, he immediately dodged the meteorite explosive. After all, Billy couldn't control it well. But Billy seemed to have anticipated this situation. There was a strange light in her eyes. The meteorite explosion that had just passed by this mid-level stellar creature did not slow down, but instead accelerated. No, hurry up and hide. The mid-level star creature discovered the meteorite explosives and actually used it as a pretense to attack him. The target was another first-level star creature that happened to be behind him. This primary level creature from the star happened to be attracted by the dynamics of the mid-level creature from the star avoiding meteorite explosives. He did not expect that the meteorite explosive that missed the target would actually accelerate towards him. Was suddenly shocked. But no matter how frightened he was, it was useless. The next moment, with despair in his eyes, the meteorite explosive penetrated his chest and heart like a bullet. The middle-level star creature saw the death look of his colleague, as if he was complaining why he, a majestic star-level being, would die in the hands of a star-level child. For a moment, he felt terrified. Including this one, little Billy has killed 3 stars. You know, she is a starry sky-level existence. It seems that the stellar powerhouses on her side have always underestimated her. Now it is your turn. From a distance, Billy saw that she had actually killed 2 stellar-level warriors with this operation. Her childish little face showed joy, and then she activated her brainwave power to fly out. The meteorite explosives from a distance came back again and were aimed at this stellar mid-level creature. Escape. Facing the gaze of a mere starry sky-level child, the mid-level star creature involuntarily showed a look of fright, and then hurriedly ran away. Yeah, don't run away from me. Billy was almost furious. In fact, her control power had gradually become much smaller, so she felt that she might not be able to catch up with this stellar mid-level creature. Humph, you can't even deal with a small starry sky level, so what's the use of you? Just when Billy thought she couldn't catch up, an angry snort came from far away in the starry sky. Oh! Inside the subspace, Jia Yan was slightly surprised. It turns out that there is a galaxy-level powerhouse tens of millions of kilometers away, who has been observing the battle on this side. Because he is far away and Jia Yan is still deep in subspace, he did not notice this famous galaxy-level existence. Of course, no one from the outside world noticed him. At this moment, the galaxy-level being violently exploded a ball of brainwave power. A moment later, the fleeing mid-level star creature's head exploded into a ball of paste, and he was actually dead and could no longer die. He casually crushed a star-level creature to death. It was obvious that this star-level creature was really angry. Otherwise, even a star-level being would not kill such a useful subordinate casually. But at the moment, no one cared about the mid-level star, including little Billy, who suddenly lost her enemy and lost her brainwave power, and was shaking. Everyone focused their attention on those galactic-level powerhouses coming from tens of millions of kilometers away. Seeing. Zeng. Senior sister, hurry up, I will use that trick to let you go first. I don't. Billy is very stubborn, just like Jia Yan in a certain situation. Oh, but it seems useless to escape. It seems that the shallow layer of subspace in this area has been blocked. Senior sister, if there is a fight later, I will first explode all my brainwave power, and then you can do whatever you want, I'm not a prisoner anyway. Yao Pinkyang suppressed his injuries, then flew up from the ground and came to little Billy's side. He looked at the senior sister with tenderness, feeling that this time should be his last battle, but being able to die at the hands of a galaxy-level fighter was a well-deserved death for Ao Pin. Oh? You 2 so-called yin-yang sect disciples didn't actually want to escape, but stayed. That galaxy-level being is extremely fast. Even if he doesn't have the subspace movement method like Jiayan, as mentioned above, even if a galaxy-level being doesn't have talent in this area, they will always use it. Various ways to give yourself a good movement speed. For example, this one stepped on a fire-breathing rocket-like thing and used his brainwave power. This thing amplified the brainwave power, and then his body and the rocket-like thing sank into half-space and gravitational waves. In space, the speed is as fast as lightning. So it didn't take long for him to step on the thing and arrive outside the planet, looking at the two yin-yang sect disciples below with great interest. This chaotic planet is an asteroid with a diameter of only about 500 kilometers. Not to mention the galaxy class, which is as huge as more than 20 kilometers, even creatures a few kilometers in size like Aopin are a little bit uncomfortable on it. Feeling of restraint. Therefore, the opponent flew directly above the planet, and his entire face occupied half of the sky. Of course we don't have to run because we are not afraid. Billy didn't say that they knew they couldn't escape, but they were just being stubborn anyway. Haha, senior sister of the yin-yang sect? Your talent is nothing more than that. The galaxy-level being looked at Billy coldly, and then felt a hint of disappointment. According to outside legends, the senior sister of the yin-yang sect seemed to be attracted by yin-yang because of her good talent. But now that she saw her, it seemed that she was no longer like this. He was wondering whether it was because of the low level of the yin-yang, or because of the low level of the yin-yang. What kind of hidden talent does this so-called senior sister really have? As a galaxy-level person, he has reached the point where he can clearly see the talents of lower-level beings at a glance. Click, click, click. While he shook his head, both Billy and Aopin were under invisible pressure, and their bones began to crack, as if they might burst any time and anywhere. Although I also agree with your courage, I want to avenge you for killing several of my star-level subordinates, so you should break a few bones for me first, and then slowly ask you for information. The other party spoke coldly, without saying at all that the last star-level mid-level creature was killed by him. Well. Although Billy and Aopin had different strengths, they seemed to be under the same pressure at this moment. They both felt that there was something wrong with their bones. They kept whining and might break in a short time. Haha, a majestic galaxy-level person is nothing more than this. He actually poisoned a child. I know it. It turns out that not every galaxy has the magnanimity of my master. Aopin deliberately said angry words. Huh, the galaxy-level being's eyes suddenly turned cold, and then he smiled. Very good. It seems that you think your master is a master with higher magnanimity. Then I will show you what is the galactic magnanimity. Come on, you will crush your bones and leave you one breath will hurt you to death. The other party said very coldly, and as soon as the brainwave power increased, he would take action. And at this moment, a brainwave power that was completely outside of it, or even, it should be said, a brainwave power that was above it, suddenly surged from the subspace. It came so suddenly that even this galaxy-level being didn't notice it at all in advance. Boom. So without any skills, without any other plan, he directly collided with this galaxy-level existence and suppressed the brainwave power on the planet. Yin yin yin. Bang 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 bang. The collision of two galactic levels of strength was completely unbelievable to others. In the next moment, the entire planet vibrated, and a seismic shaking of more than 12 magnitude erupted, along with Billy and others on the ground. He was almost unsteady on his feet. But what is puzzling is that Billy and others, who were supposed to be affected by the energy collision of this level of powerhouse at close range, seemed to be watching a movie, and the brainwave power in front of them was like an aurora. It was so dense in the sky that it almost became water, colliding with each other, but they were not affected at all. The power of brainwaves is so familiar, Master, Master. Billy and Aopin felt the new brainwave power and instantly felt familiar. Then, Their eyes showed a look of ecstasy. The leader of the yin-yang sect, their master, yin-yang is here? The new power in the sky seemed to be on par with the opponent at first, but there was no stalemate for a second. The owner of this power seemed to have figured out the opponent's doorway, and then with a crushing force, he suddenly pushed towards the opponent. The direction of a galaxy-level powerhouse. Boom boom boom. What? What kind of power is this? Who? The starry sky level was startled, and he quickly retreated thousands of kilometers, narrowly passing the center of the explosion of power. He looked around with a bit of embarrassment and vigilance. Isn't it that you formed the so-called alliance to deal with me? Now that I'm here in person, you can't recognize me? Haha, I'm really disappointed. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2130. In the subspace, a calm voice gradually echoed. You are, yin-yang. After hearing what the voice in the subspace claimed, the galaxy-level being's face became extremely ugly. Through these words, he understood that he didn't know whether he should be lucky or unlucky. In this land of stars, he was just dealing with two disciples of yin-yang and met yin-yang himself. Although yin-yang's strength, they deduced that he was probably also a galaxy beginner, but he was definitely the best among the galaxy beginners, and he might even be a galaxy beginner in the external combat category. This was different from their galaxy beginner in the peaceful starry sky. Completely different combat effectiveness. So he looked ugly. That's right, yin-yang. The sounds in the subspace were indifferent, but they contained unbelievable pressure. They were released towards the outside of the subspace, causing the people around them to retreat one by one. Even the small planet with a diameter of 500 kilometers completely stopped its original trajectory under this pressure. It was forced to stop before the pressure and lost its original behavior. If no new gravitational influence is exerted on it, its original trajectory will be confused. This is the strength that a super-powerful galaxy-level being can achieve without using deliberate power. Yin-yang. As expected, it's you, we haven't started a war yet. Could it be that you want to start a battle with my alliance? The galaxy-level being had a sinister look on his face for a moment, then silently gave up and continued to target the two major disciples of Yin and Yang, and retreated from the surface of the planet. He knew that his strength was a bit weak. Regardless of whether Yin-Yang could fight against their alliance, at least for now, he was alone and could not defeat Yin-Yang alone. This is called a wise man who knows the current affairs. If he can't defeat him, he knows he can't defeat him. Especially in this situation, he felt a little weird. The strength of Yin-Yang gave him a very strange feeling, that is, it seemed to be a little beyond their expectations. It seems, a bit too strong. This is the ability of galaxy-level beings. When they see a galaxy level, they will judge whether the other party is stronger than themselves. And although this galaxy level feels that the other party's strength has been suppressed, but it can be judged from the details that Yin-Yang may be much stronger than they expected. It's a joke, Your Excellency, you personally attack my apprentice, you are not allowed to fight back. Your Excellency, since you are here, don't leave. Jia Yan was in the subspace, sneering at the first-level enemies of the galaxy who were still a bit pretentious at the beginning, but gradually became at a loss and wanted to fly away. Then he had a thought and did not show up directly. He only saw the existence of the elementary level of the galaxy. For a moment, there was a wall of brainwave power in front of him, and his face became even more ugly for a moment. This wall lingered directly in front of him, with a height and width of 30 or 40 kilometers, completely blocking his entire body. What's even more exaggerated is that he felt an extremely terrifying power from the power of his brain waves. This power even made him have absurd speculations. That is, could this yin-yang be a intermediate galaxy? Impossible. If he was a mid-level star, why was he hiding him? If I and others had known that he was a mid-level star, they would have treated him with respect and would not have dared to attack him. Your Excellency Yin-Yang, I apologize for what I did to your disciple, and I will definitely offer you an apology that satisfies you in the future. In addition, we have withdrawn from the coalition this time, which means that there will only be 12 teams in the coalition in the future. What do you think? He turned his head and smiled very flatteringly at a certain place in the subspace. Because he knew that he couldn't defeat Jia Yan, or even escape. Jia Yan was in the subspace just now. He didn't feel the owner of the power move. There was a brainwave power barrier in front of him. Although if he goes all out, he may not be able to break through this barrier, but others may just release the power at will and block him. Under such circumstances, he still doesn't know that if he doesn't give in, he will be unlucky, then it is impossible to cultivate to the galaxy level. Apologies. Haha, now I have to ask my disciples whether they will accept this kind of thing. Jia Yan was in the subspace. After hearing this, he had an idea and wanted to use this to test his apprentices again. Anyway, he was just a junior galaxy level. When he had just been promoted to the galaxy level, he had been almost ignored. Not to mention that he was now at the top of the galaxy intermediate level. It could be said that it was effortless to deal with such a galaxy junior level existence. Even if the other party wants to escape, Jia Yan's single thought can kill him. So he directly used this strong man to test his disciples. Everyone in the room, including the strong man at the beginning of the galaxy, instantly turned their attention to the 500-kilometer diameter asteroid. On this asteroid, the shadows of two creatures became the focus of attention. Those were Billy, who was the size of an average Earthling, and the 1-kilometer large object beside her. Billy, tell me how you want to deal with this guy. In the sky, a voice sounded much gentler than before. This was Jia Yan's voice. Huh? Master. Billy is very familiar with Jia Yan. Although Jia Yan also simulated Yin Yang's old voice at this moment, there are still some differences. So she was stunned for a while, but after all, she was just a starry sky level being, and even if she really felt something was wrong with the voice of a galaxy level powerhouse, she couldn't really recognize what was wrong. So she decided that this was her master's yin and yang. Master, I want to kill him. Billy said her conclusion directly without any extra words. Ah! This damn brat! Above the starry sky, the face of the galaxy class who dared not leave suddenly turned ugly and was about to start running away. But Jia Yan didn't wait for him to start running away, and continued to ask the next apprentice about the product. Aopin, please tell me how to deal with this senior. Jia Yan's attention made Aopin feel a chill in his body, which was much larger than Bai Li's. This was the first time that Aopin felt that such a terrifying strong man was watching him. He no longer knew what kind of strength his master was. He just trembled slightly, and then after thinking for a while, he hesitated and said, Master, I think, we should focus on the overall situation. Killing an enemy's alliance leader will make them think that our yin-yang sect wants to start a war of extermination with them. This will truly raise the issue of life and death with us. The thought of war is not good for the future, so I think we should not kill this senior. In terms of emotions and reasons, Aopin is indeed a star-level strong man. What he said is completely reasonable. After all, he is a strong man who has been in the universe for a long time. He understands the general situation and knows how things should be. How to dissolve and become smaller. Even Jia Yan couldn't help but praise him. Well, what you said is very correct, and it is also very consistent with the general practice. Because this is the best way to prevent the situation from getting bigger in the future. There was a hint of joy on Aopin's face, thinking that he was right and in line with his master's wishes. But he never expected that in the next moment, the terrifying brainwave power in the entire world would become thicker, like a prehistoric beast with sound, ready to explode like a volcano. Boom boom boom. But, Jia Yan's voice continued to sound loudly. Does yin yang, a force formed by a mere 13 wastes, need to use such general methods? Yaopin, you let me down, Billy, since you made the suggestion that master likes, go back and receive the reward. Boom 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 boom. In the heaven and earth, the power of brainwaves is like turning into water, spreading throughout the world. This, what is this, what kind of strength is this? The strong man in the first level of the galaxy was already filled with rage at this time, and he had no idea what kind of strength this coming person had. Galaxy beginner? Impossible. Even if the primary level of galaxy is at its peak, it is impossible for him to have such strength. Could it be that he is really a mid-level star? Faintly, he felt that this so-called yin-yang didn't even have the strength of a mid-level star. But regardless of whether it was true or not, he finally understood that this guy yin-yang was not something they could deal with at all. This terrifying brainwave power can suppress oneself to the point of being unable to move simply by its amount. Escape. If you don't escape, you will die. He didn't want to see how Jia Yan made his decision, because if someone released such brainwave power, it would definitely be bad. Puff. He also exploded with the power of his own brain waves. Although it was not as good as the terrifying brainwave power that filled the air between heaven and earth, compared with ordinary creatures, it was also a godlike strength. Poof. Blow it up for me. This first-level powerhouse of the galaxy exploded with all his strength, and then rushed forward. This charge was incredible. People use this kind of killer power to fight, but he didn't. Used to escape. Moreover, the stick-like flying device under his feet was obviously made of heavy gold. Flames also shot up to help him increase his speed. The whole person sank into the depression of the half-space and half-gravitational wave system. It can make his escape speed more than 10 times faster. Your Excellency, my apprentice said he would kill you. If I can't kill you as a master, then I would be a little embarrassed, so, you can't leave today. The creature who spoke in the subspace was still far away at first when he spoke, but the next moment, it seemed to move instantly and came to the back of this elementary creature in the galaxy. It was faster than the speed he could escape with his trump card. Looks like a lot faster. Varied. This elementary creature from the galaxy was really shocked to the point that his heart was about to burst. He had no time to use any more escape tactics. He saw a black lightning-like shadow flying out of the subspace. Puff. The sound was very soft and silent. Even people outside could not see clearly what the object of the sound was. They saw that the elementary creature of the galaxy was stabbed by a black sharp object in an instant. Wearing the body. This black object does not seem to be an organ of a living thing, because the organ seems to be difficult to achieve such a perfect feeling. The whole thing seems to be the incarnation of perfection, sharp, strong, and there is a very, very terrifying power contained in it. What, this, you are, in the galaxy, in the galaxy, in. The primary creature in the galaxy felt something impossible appear in front of him. He stared at the interior of the subspace, following the black object pierced out, and saw a huge thing looming inside. But his words stopped suddenly. Because under the chaos of the brainwave power of the black object, his life was lost in an instant, and he was completely silent. An elementary creature from the galaxy who could be said to be like a god near this starry sky. A big boss who had dominated all ordinary lives in this starry sky for at least hundreds of years was actually killed with just such a blow. Die. On the entire battlefield, all sounds disappeared in an instant. Everyone, including Jia Yan's two apprentices, and even Billy, who had great confidence in Jia Yan, were stunned in place and did not react at all for a long time. Because that is the galaxy level. Even if Yin Yang wants to kill a galaxy level person, even if he is stronger than the opponent and wants to kill him, he should at least have an earth-shattering battle. But now, it was just a sharp black object with no discernible substance, stabbing it to death with one blow. What on earth is going on? It feels like this is different from the script everyone imagined. Why is Yin and Yang so powerful? Puff. The black object pulled out the body of the galaxy-level powerhouse with a slight pull, and then slowly retracted it into the subspace. From the beginning to the end, Jia Yan never revealed his true body, and the object he stabbed seemed fake, but it was actually one of his front legs. The sharpness of the front feet has long been out of the scope of the torso of ordinary creatures, but is incomparably perfect. Therefore, people will regard the front feet as non-living things, which is something Jia Yan can't do anything about. However, this blow can be regarded as giving me a little glimpse of the strength of my own galaxy intermediate. If I want to blame it, it is because the opponent's strength is too weak. Even if I have not been promoted, killing such a galaxy intermediate is just a matter of time. Just one blow. Jia Yan lamented that the existence of this elementary level Zing was too weak. If he were stronger, he would be able to test out a little bit of the peak strength of the middle level Zing. The outside world thinks that this elementary creature from the galaxy is very strong, but Jia Yan thinks he is too weak. If the dead elementary creature from the galaxy knew this, he would probably be so angry that he would come back to life and be killed by Jia Yan again. But Jia Yan just treated him as a weakling. You and your leader are dead, how do you decide? Jia Yan still didn't show up, but his voice came out calmly from the subspace. And the people he spoke to were the subordinates of the surviving galactic level forces. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2131. The book is too old and the subscription is incredibly low, but it is impossible to be a eunuch. Bulletin U will insist on writing the best book possible. I hope you can see my friends here. Even if you only spend a few dollars to subscribe to some chapters, it will be a support and affirmation of my efforts. Thank you. Under Jia Yan's threat, the result was no surprise. The subordinates of the invading forces chose to surrender without exception. While they were surrendering, Jia Yan had no time to watch their surrender process. He just calmly said this to Billy and Aopin on the planet. I'll leave the matter here to you. I'm going to see what those 12 friends want to do. Even if they want to start a war with our yin-yang sect, they must make it clear first, right? Jia Yan's words were a little naughty. The two disciples were stunned when they heard this, but before they could respond, this was what the voice meant. Jia Yan suddenly left the subspace and never felt it again. Without his presence. Well, what Master just said, is that he is going to personally meet those dozen galaxy-level people. This. Aopin was startled and understood what he just said. Ah. No, they will fight with Master. Master can fight one person, but can he fight a group of them? Billy was anxious and wanted to take out her communicator. But Aopin stopped her. Don't worry, senior sister. Since the Master will say this, it means that the Master is confident. Besides, looking at the battle just now, does the Master seem to be someone who can be restrained by the primary existence of galaxy? Ah. Then what do you mean? Master, isn't he afraid of so many galactic levels? That's 12 galactic levels. Billy paused. Yes, I think, Master is not afraid. You know, his strength may be beyond our imagination, and he has talents in subdimensional space. Do you think that even if he can't win and wants to leave, the 12 can this elementary existence of the galaxy be intercepted? That's right. So that's the case. Master didn't explain it clearly, which made me worried. Billy pouted, but when she thought about it, she was extremely happy again. Haha, our master is really powerful. I thought he might be at the venerable level before, but he has become more and more powerful, and he is more powerful than I imagined. Billy was happy. She was the one who knew Jia Yan from the beginning. At first, everyone thought that Jia Yan was a venerable, and then he gradually became a star. After that, everyone said that he was a star. Beginner level, now it's better, galaxy level beginner can't even receive a blow from the master. What kind of strength should this be? Haha, I'm the same as you. At first I thought he was a star, and then he became a star. But I never expected that. I still underestimated him. Yeah, by the way, Aopin, can you see what was thrust out of the subspace just now? It looks very powerful, and it looks like some very powerful weapon. This, I don't know what it is, but it looks a bit like the limbs of a creature. Aopin is also quite confused, because if it is a limb of a living thing, what is it? Isn't Master a turtle-like creature? Why do you have those kind of limbs? Not to mention how confused the two apprentices who witnessed Jia Yan's real body attack were. Jia Yan himself left the scene instantly after resolving the crisis of the two apprentices, and then flew to the chaotic starry sky, the headquarters of the 13th Root Allied Forces. Although the size of the chaotic starry sky is smaller than that of the surrounding starry sky, it can only be regarded as a small and peaceful place, but the starry sky is a starry sky after all. In such a large space, let alone the coalition troops, even if it comes again 100 times or 1,000 times 10,000 times more people and horses would not be too crowded. Therefore, the huge coalition forces and horses are waiting in this starry sky, and the troops of every galaxy-level commander are waiting here to see if there is any chance to start a battle with the Yin-Yang section. After destroying the Yin-Yang sect, they can digest the many benefits of Yin-Yang sect. Just like what the coalition forces were discussing from the beginning, although the Yin-Yang sect digested and destroyed many of their territories in this starry sky, the Yin-Yang sect also brought benefits, that is, it developed a lot of things. There is also the cultivation technique of Yin and Yang Dao, which is very tempting to many galaxy-level beings. I don't know what the result will be if that guy goes out and arrests the two disciples of Yin and Yang himself. Logically speaking, this is the time for him to pass on the news. Just wait, a galaxy-level person will go out to catch two disciples in person, and he will definitely be able to catch them. That's natural. Otherwise, if we can't even catch the two major disciples of Yin and Yang, we won't be able to fight this battle. Haha, how could he not catch his two disciples? He is not a trivial figure. By the way, he came out of his lair himself and might ruin this matter, but does he dare? One person, he broke into the world of 13 of us. The area is simply looking for death. What about Yin and Yang? It's hard to say. Judging from his past principles, he is not very afraid of ordinary galaxy-level people. Last time he had friction with one of us, he actually let a group of star-level subordinates join forces to defeat him. Got that one? TCH, isn't it just a group of star-level stars that have joined forces? Now they continue to join forces. We have 13 star-level stars here. Let's see how many of them come to join forces. Yes, if we join forces, not to mention the Yin-Yang sect, even the power of a middle-level galaxy master will be frightened by us. Of course, we will not fight with the power of a middle-level galaxy master. Opposition. 12 galaxy-level beings gathered in one space. Each of them was 20 or 30 kilometers across, so there were no battleships that could accommodate their gathering, so they simply gathered in the starry sky. Some of them are waiting for the Zing class who is out to capture Jia Yan's two disciples, and there are also people who don't care much about this matter. After all, for them, this alliance can be said to be easy to catch. But outside this gathering place, a figure has already arrived like lightning. Oh! Are they actually gathered in one place? It saves me the time to find them. The approaching figure looked at the large amount of energy released in the starry sky from a distance, and immediately smiled. He is Jia Yan, who came from afar. In the distant starry sky, corresponding to the strong men in this large starry sky, the aura of a strong man gradually emerged. Jia Yan did not hide his arrival, he even announced his arrival in a big way. The 12 strong men who were eating, drinking and chatting didn't feel anything at first. After the momentum rose, they gradually became less concerned about it and their expressions changed little by little. What's this? What is this power? It's so scary. It has gradually grown to star level and is still rushing upwards. In an instant, the 12 powerful men slowly fell silent. In this moment, the power gradually rose from the earth level, to the sky level, to the starry sky and the venerable level, to the semi-star level, and to the star level. When they got up, their expressions became solemn. In the end, the feeling of this power slowly climbed to the same galaxy level as them. Every one of this group of galaxy level experts could no longer sit still. Who is this? Let's go over and have a look. Let's go. Galaxy level? Haha, it's quite interesting. It's a very strange power, but I seem to have heard of it somewhere before. Yin, Yang. The power of good and evil, could it really be him? What the hell, why does this Yin Yang dare to come to trouble us and come here to seek death? Be careful. If you don't have some confidence, he won't dare to come. Ha ha ha, nonsense, there are 12 of us here, do we need to be careful? Could it be that he can deal with 12 of us with one person? The 12 galaxy-level beings flew out of the place where they gathered together, heading towards the empty place where the terrifying power was released. Not long after, a group of galaxy-level powerhouses arrived at the place where power was released. I saw half a figure looming in this starry sky, on the surface of the extremely twisted subspace. People can't see the person's body clearly, and they don't know who they are. It just doesn't look like the legendary Jia Yan, because that Jia Yan should be a turtle-like creature. But it is one thing that this figure is huge. Another thing is that his shadow is a bit like an insect, not like a turtle carrying a big turtle shell. But the power emanating from his body is like yin and yang dao, making people a little unsure of who he is. Your Excellency, who are you? Zeng. Could it be that he is a master in the elementary level of Zeng? The subspace is so powerful. Even if all 12 of us attack together, he might escape. This is probably his confidence. Sir, I wonder what your relationship is with the Yin-Yang sect. The 12 galaxy-level beings were all asking with some vigilance. Since they are not yin and yang, they should not show too much hostility, because they do not want to provoke another inexplicable enemy. Not yin and yang? Haha, do you all think so? Unexpectedly, in that space, in response to the existence of these primary creatures of the galaxy, a series of meaningful words were spoken. According to what he said, even if he didn't admit that he was yin and yang, it definitely had something to do with it. Who the hell are you? Is it really related to the yin-yang sect? Be careful and surround us. What are we afraid of with so many people? The 12 primary beings of the galaxy all had extremely solemn expressions. After hearing Jia Yan's words, they surrounded him vigilantly. In their opinion, even if they and others are at the galaxy level in the Peace Star territory, there are still a few of them with good strength. Besides, there are 12 of them, so what are they afraid of? There are 12 elementary beings in the galaxy. 4 creatures like them, even if they face an intermediate creature in the galaxy, it is possible for them to fight. Of course, this is because they haven't really tried it. The gap between each level of the galaxy level may be so large that even the people involved are not aware of it. Among the people present, probably only Jia Yan, who was the strongest and several levels higher than the creature in front of him, understood the difference. Huh, is there an advantage in numbers? In front of an absolutely powerful person, don't they know that numbers have no effect at all? Jia Yan smiled. Of course, he also knew that the other party probably didn't think that he was really strong enough that even these 12 people could not deal with him. It's just a pity that they guessed wrong. Boom. When 12 galaxy-level creatures gathered in front of Jia Yan, an earth-shattering twisting explosion sounded in the subspace. They took precautions and didn't want Jia Yan to escape. However, Jia Yan was completely unexpected. Instead of trying to escape, he broke through to the outside world. Puff. A foot several kilometers long sharply pierced the subspace barrier and burst into the normal space of the outside world in an instant. You didn't escape, but came outside. It's okay if he escapes, but if he doesn't escape, it means he is sure, so be careful. Not only were the group of galaxy-level beings not happy because Jia Yan took the initiative to show up, on the contrary, every one of them had serious expressions on their faces. Because they know that no one is a fool at the galaxy level. They are fools if they show up knowing that the number of enemies is so huge. But if they dare to show up and show the opponent's strength, they are not afraid of these 12 people at all. Looking for a book UN or there is something to rely on. Boom boom boom. With the appearance of the first leg, the giant mosquitoes in the subspace gradually drilled out of the subspace. Not long after, the giant mosquito that appeared for the first time in this starry sky finally fully appeared. Moreover, this is a giant mosquito that has reached the peak of the middle level of the galaxy. It can be said that its strength is enough to dominate the world in this land of stars. It still has the same dark body, a slender mouth part, and sharp legs that seem to be able to pierce the sky. This is. What kind of strength? Why do I feel like my whole body is being suppressed by invisible pressure? This, impossible, star, galaxy intermediate level. What a terrifying body shape, how perfect it must be to evolve. I don't know, I really don't know what kind of strength it is, galaxy intermediate, it looks like it, but it doesn't look like it. What kind of strong person is it? Oh my god, I can't even move comfortably anymore. The giant mosquito was so big and stinging, without fear at all, appearing in the center of the 12 galaxy-level powerhouses. It felt like being surrounded by them, but it was like being alone and controlling the momentum of the whole place. Each one of the group of first-level warriors from the galaxy was frightened by his aura. This is the power that Jia Yan can't conceal his energy after he has been promoted, causing a trace of energy to leak out. If he really unleashes his peak mid-level galaxy power to suppress these 12 people, his momentum alone they were so oppressed that they could not move. This is no longer a comparison between the two sides. Haha, everyone, since you want to go against me, then I took the initiative to come to your door. Now what do you want? Just say it, I will stand here and listen. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2132. Jia Yan looked around indifferently. His giant mosquito body was actually the largest among the first-level strongmen in the circle of the galaxy. The body was 30 kilometers long, compared to the current body which was more than 10 or 20 kilometers long. The primary beings in the galaxy all formed a large circle, as if they were looking at a group of children. Against you? Your Excellency, you are thinking too much. We don't even know who you are, so we are not going against you. Yes, we are here to find trouble, with the yin-yang section you. A group of primary beings from the galaxy were all in a hurry to explain. But Jia Yan didn't give them a chance to say anything else. Although each of these galaxy-level beings said all kinds of good things, they dared not tell the yin-yang sect that they had something to do with him, because they were afraid that it was true. Jia Yan just opened his mouth and told his origins without pretending at all. I am exactly yin and yang. After he said this, the whole place fell silent for a moment. After that, the galaxy level exploded with a bang, and everyone retreated one after another. Your Excellency, please don't joke, Yin Yang is not like you. Yin Yang? How is that possible? This, you are Yin Yang, the master of Yin Yang sect? I don't believe it. All the galaxy level eyes were full of horror. They had been thinking about this possibility just now, but everyone did not dare to think that this possibility was real. After all, the appearance of Yin and Yang was different from this powerful one. They are different, but the point is that their strength is also very different. This galaxy-level powerhouse is most likely a galaxy intermediate. They don't want to mess with such a galaxy intermediate. If they had known that the leader of the Yin-Yang sect, Yin-Yang, was a strong man in the middle level of the galaxy, they would definitely not have confronted this guy. Even if there were any issues of interest, they would definitely go to the strong man behind him to solve it. If the strong people behind it can't solve this trouble, they won't even have the slightest thought of resisting it. In this universe, it is very realistic. A strong person has enough deterrence against another weak person, but the weak generally do not dare to resist the strong. Even if they are required to give up certain interests, they are absolutely willing to do so. Those who are unwilling to be strong will either grow up quickly and become powerful and strong, or they will fall on the road of being strong. Of course, the latter kind is more common, and the former kind is called genius by everyone. Oh! Everyone, you came here to find my yin and yang in the starry sky. Why are you so flustered after you have achieved your goal? Jia Yan looked at the galaxy-class people who were leaving him vigilantly, and smiled slightly again. Are you yin and yang? Humph, I didn't expect that your true body would look like this. Yin Yang, don't be so arrogant. There are at most mid-level galactic beings, and we have more than a dozen primary-level galactic ones here. You alone may not be able to kill us all. However, we don't want to have too much trouble with a galaxy intermediate. Since you are a galaxy intermediate, we don't dare to have any trouble with you anymore. We will retreat immediately and give you a certain amount in the future. How about the compensation? Some of the first-level beings of the galaxy spoke cruel words, while others immediately gave in. This combination of soft and hard tactics was, to some extent, negotiated by themselves. Without losing any self-respect, they also gave in. With so many beginners in the galaxy, they were somewhat confident, so they behaved neither arrogantly nor arrogantly, and even agreed upon the agreement in an instant. Some people said that Jia Yan, the giant mosquito's true form, was a mid-level galactic powerhouse. Look, how does Jia Yan react? If he reveals a little bit that he is not an intermediate star, that is, no matter how strong he is only at the peak of the primary star, then they will definitely swarm him. The existence of the peak of the galaxy beginner. For the dozen or so galaxy beginners, no matter how strong they are, even the top geniuses from the outside world, they don't think they can't beat them. With that kind of strength, he must be killed and never suffer any future troubles. Oh! Everyone, there is really no consensus. Are you coming to the door of my yin-yang sect just to show off your power? Jia Yan laughed, then shook his head. Although I really want to say, spare your lives, but I can't do it now. In order to congratulate me on my great improvement in strength, I need a release point, and this release point is you. Today, none of you can escape. There was one more thing he didn't say, and there was no need to make it clear to these dying people, that he was preparing to go out. If the Yin-Yang sect had so many galaxy-level people around him, it would definitely be difficult to protect itself, let alone kill so many galaxy-level people. There were other Zing-level people around who wanted to attack the Yin-Yang sect, but they didn't dare to take action, just to establish their authority. Jia Yan's words made each of the 12 primary beings of the galaxy change their expressions crazily. What? You want to kill us? Big, bold, you are a mid-level star, you may not be able to kill us. Senior, isn't this good? We are both at the galaxy level. Let's give everyone a way to survive. If we were to fight to the death with Senior, Senior probably wouldn't be able to escape unscathed. Please think more about it. Each one of the group of first-level powerhouses in the galaxy felt extremely dangerous, because this had gone beyond the nature of what they wanted to test. How could there be such a person who would start a fight without saying a few words? Ha ha ha, we are indeed a group of people in the peaceful star territory. You are really pitiful. You will die in this peaceful place without ever venturing outside. If there is an afterlife, take more risks. Jia Yan shook his head and smiled, and then his brainwave power exploded in an instant. The positive and negative forces were like a tide, surging into the entire starry sky in an instant. Ah! What kind of power is this? This, what? I can't move. It's horrible, it's horrible. This is definitely not the middle level of the galaxy, this is, above the middle level. Intermediate peak. Puff 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 puff. Boom. The whole starry sky seemed to be filled with a large number of flat thunders, one after another bombardment between the sky and the earth. Then the 12 retreating elementary powerhouses of the galaxy were all blown up by the positive and negative force of the brainwave power. They were dizzy. Although several space explosions did not cause them any serious injuries, don't forget that this was Jia Yan using the power of brainwaves to confine all the galaxy-class people present to this starry sky. Dealing with a group of primary warriors from the galaxy, Jia Yan could not make them look like weaklings and kill them all in one breath, but the current situation was not the result of his all-out efforts. He had just been promoted, and this dispatch was not so much to save his disciples. In fact, there were several reasons, one of which was to stabilize the surrounding areas of the yin-yang section, but the biggest reason was that he wanted to see that he had reached the middle level of the galaxy. What is the level of strength after the peak? The current technique is just a way to use his positive and negative power. The power of the explosion can almost be said to be the brainwave power that came from the air. It is completely the manifestation of his power, even for a galaxy level. It feels like a feeling of disbelief. Just like back then, he saw the Zerg Queen creating life in front of his eyes. Even now, for Jia Yan, that scene is amazing. Nowadays, what Jia Yan is doing has a similar feeling, because other junior powerhouses in the galaxy will definitely not understand how Jia Yan can do it, find explosions in the empty starry sky point. If it were purely the power of one's own brain waves, how terrifying this power would be. Ha ha ha, are you restricted by me? 12 galactic levels may sound powerful, but they are nothing more than that. Jia Yan smiled and continued to use his brainwave power. For others, the current situation may be very strange. They have no idea how he did it. Even if he called other mid-level galaxy peaks to the scene, or even a large number of territory lords may not be able to see how he did it. Because this is the display of his talent plus yin-yang dao. Yin-yang dao is the force of positive and negative, while his talent is the subspace. Now the two are superimposed, quickly creating the current strength. The little skills also have a lot of knowledge. They include Jia Yan's various combat experiences, and even the gains he made in life and death. Therefore, seeing the big from the small, each of these first-level powerhouses in the galaxy is extremely frightened. This, you can't escape. If you escape, there will be an explosion. Ah, my body, this explosion is very powerful. If you don't hide, you will be injured. But if you hide, you will be restricted. He moved. The 12 first-level powerhouses of the galaxy have been alert to Jia Yan, who caused all this. You must know that it is only his brainwave power that is at work at the moment. Although they are strong men in the peaceful starry sky, no matter how peaceful they are, if they can reach the galaxy level, they have killed a lot, but they are much worse than the outside world, which does not mean that they are not ruthless. Since the opponent really wants their lives now, the lambs will also want to resist, not to mention that they are not lambs, but terrifying galaxy powerhouses who can easily kill tigers hundreds of thousands of times. When a galaxy-level man was about to resist, he suddenly noticed that Jia Yan, who had been using his brainwave power, suddenly moved. Puff. Before he could say anything, the strong man found that Jia Yan was in front of him and pierced his chest with his foot. This. Hello and goodbye. Jia Yan smiled faintly, moved his sharp foot, and killed it on his own foot. I can still, self-destruct. This elementary being of the galaxy was about to mobilize all his strength to kill Jia Yan, who was seriously injured in one breath. After all, he was going to die. Why couldn't he die in exchange for the other party's serious injury? Will other junior powerhouses in the galaxy seize the opportunity to kill this arrogant existence directly? It's a pity that if he were an ordinary galaxy intermediate, his self-destruction moves would have a certain effect, but what he faced was not a galaxy intermediate, but a top galaxy intermediate. Want to self-destruct? This is too naive. What else can you say about self-destruction? Just self-destruct. There is no determination and no sincerity. Click. How could Jia Yan not prevent this? In fact, when the other party had this idea, he had already made preparations. The moment the other party mobilized his strength, he used the wound on his foot to penetrate the brainwave power into the other party's body. Inside the body, its brainwave power is restricted. Puff. The other party's unfocused eyes completely calmed down in an instant, and underneath this calmness, there was still a bit of unwillingness. After all, he didn't succeed in self-destruction. When Jia Yan was about to self-destruct, he had already used brainwave power to disrupt his self-destruction power. After all, he pierced the opponent's body. For a strong person, in this case, there is no need to use excessive force. Just a little energy will affect the brainwave power of the injured person. Therefore, as soon as Jia Yan used his brainwave power, he directly disrupted and eliminated the huge self-destructive power. The other party was unwilling, but Jia Yan didn't even look at it. This is probably a relatively famous and powerful existence in this starry sky. A galaxy-level person can influence a large area of the starry sky. He is a god in the hearts of all people. But here in Jia Yan, there is just an ordinary galaxy beginner. Oh no, not even an ordinary galaxy beginner is enough. He is just a being with little actual combat experience and not many combat skills. Just die, he doesn't even know how many similar galaxy-level ones he has killed. Besides, Jia Yan had already taken action, so he would not be the only one who died in this battle among the first-level powerhouses of the galaxy. Next to this galaxy novice strongman, there was another galaxy novice. When he saw this galaxy novice good friend, who was also of similar strength, under Jia Yan's blow, he didn't even resist at all. He looked like he had no strength at all, and instantly felt cold. He no longer had the slightest idea of confronting Jia Yan, because even his friend, who was of similar strength, was killed like a child by this yin and yang. This was simply too different. He wanted to surrender. It's a pity that he didn't even have time to say anything. In an instant, the ghostly figure was already in front of him. As soon as this elementary being of the galaxy opened his mouth, a sharp foot pierced his head. You want to surrender, right? I know, I usually think so. Unfortunately, I don't want to give you a chance. Jia Yan helped him complete the sentences. But this elementary level being in the galaxy was even worse than his friend. He couldn't even hear these words, and his brain was stabbed in half with one breath. Once the brainwave power was disturbed, he died instantly. I surrender. Sir, I surrender. Senior. Puff. Also nearby, a strong man who was almost at the top of the first level of the galaxy fled a little further away, and quickly spoke before Jia Yan rushed over. Jia Yan shook his head and stepped to his side. I said, I won't give you a chance. I don't mean that I won't give you a chance to speak. Regardless of whether you speak or not, you will inevitably die today. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2133. Jia Yan's brainwave power instantly enveloped the entire audience, and all the remaining 9 galaxy-level experts heard this. Bang! The strong man who was near the peak of the primary level of the galaxy was probably the strongest among the so-called allies. Just like the first 3, he had no resistance at all and slowly floated in the starry sky. Among them, he could not die anymore. For Jia Yan, such a slight difference in strength actually means no change at all. We. The first level star of the galaxy was about to say something to give in, but Jia Yan still didn't allow him to speak. Here, it seems you want to die first. Jia Yan smiled again. This smile had always been on display when he saw these galaxy-level people. However, the meaning of the smile continued to change as the incident progressed. At this time, in their eyes, he looked like a demon. We vote. The existence at the primary peak of the galaxy immediately wanted to shout out the next words. But Jia Yan won't let him shout out, because this is a tacit understanding among the strong. If the weak shout out like this, they will spare them as much as possible. At least Jia Yan himself thinks that with his current situation Qingdao already has a certain understanding of this behavior. If he is really called out by the opponent, he will choose to give up the attack. But he didn't let the other party shout out, which was also a manifestation of his attitude. Buzz. The entire normal space was severely tightened. The existence of the primary peak of the galaxy felt that with his strength, he was speechless for a moment. Although he may be able to speak out if he wants to work hard for a short period of time, this moment is the difference between life and death. You know, he is a person at the top of the galaxy and the leader of the 13 coalition forces. However, he never thought that during this trip to the Yin-Yang sect, he would encounter someone with such a gap in strength from him. A huge strong man. If possible, he would not agree to this operation in the first place. But things are impossible. If you make the wrong choice, you will be doomed. While he was shouting, he felt a sharp pain in his body. Without any skills or other movements, the feet directly penetrated his body in the same way as those of the dead primary beings in the galaxy before. So fast, you, senior, you, are you the intermediate, top, peak, of Zeng? Before he was about to die, he had a few more breaths to survive than the other junior powerhouses in the galaxy, and he actually asked this question. Oh? He died very slowly. Seeing that he died so slowly, Jia Yan was stunned for a moment, then nodded. Yes, I am the peak of the middle-level galaxy. Boom. The Alliance leader felt his mind explode, which caused him more troubles than when he was about to die. What the hell? What idiot initiated this Alliance operation? Going up against a top mid-level star from the galaxy, are all of us fools? Depend on. His last word stuck in his throat, and then his entire consciousness disappeared. The peak of the middle level of the galaxy, in this space, even to the powerful people of the galaxy level, it is like a godlike existence. Because the difference in strength here is too big, but the middle-level galaxy and the peak mid-level galaxy are slowly approaching the strength of the outside world, especially the top mid-level galaxy powerhouses. There are 2 in this star field, and they are incomparable. If they are not from the outside world, they can be said to be no different from the powerful people at the top of the mid-level galaxy in the outside world. Their strength is also at the top of the mid-level galaxy in the fighting type. Therefore, the gap in strength between them and other galaxy-level people, and even most of the galaxy intermediate-level people, is huge. It is so big that even many of the galaxy intermediate-level people almost knelt down when they saw them. What did they see? Like a terrifying strong man. But now, the leader of the first-level peak of the galaxy has met another peak of the middle-level galaxy and settled in this star field. When he died, a pity rose in his heart, not that it was a pity for him to die. It's a pity that I won't be able to see the excitement of this starry sky in the future, because the three pillars will definitely be very interesting, and it may even affect the balance and peace that the entire star field has maintained for many years. Of course, everything depends on how Jia Yan wants to develop. If he allows the yin-yang sect to develop in such a low-key manner as it does now, then it will be difficult to conflict with the two powerhouses at the top of the middle level of the galaxy. Yes, it is low-key, because if Jia Yan, the leader of the yin-yang sect, is a peak mid-level star in the galaxy, then his previous arrogant behavior, judging from the strength level, is simply a low-key place that makes people feel distressed. Ordinarily, it would take several years for the average mid-level peak of the galaxy to develop such a force. And it was someone else who attacked him that made him reveal his strength. It just seemed impossible. Therefore, all events depend on what kind of strength. Jia Yan's strength has now reached the peak of the middle level of the galaxy. What he did before is considered extremely arrogant in this starry sky. Now the people present in the galaxy to the elementary beings, he was so low-key that he seemed to be playing tricks on them. If they are a little more arrogant, they may not dare to attack directly. Instead, they will ask the middle-level big shots of the galaxy behind them, or even stab the two peak middle-level stars of the galaxy. Then they will be gods. Fighting has almost nothing to do with them. It's a pity that in this situation, they are the ones who are responsible for their own death. Well, when the leader of the first-level alliance in the galaxy died, he let out a long sigh. No one knew what he was sighing about. This died. 13 of them, the first-level beings of the galaxy, the leader they had all launched together, died just like that. The expressions on the remaining 7 or 8 galaxy-level people were extremely ugly. No one even dared to beg for mercy or question Jia Yan's actions anymore, because those who died the fastest before were the ones begging for mercy and questioning. If they do this again, they will definitely be the dead one. These first-level powerhouses in the galaxy looked at the giant mosquitoes that slowly walked out from the big explosion caused by the killing. Their eyes were no longer sinister and murderous, but full of pity. I feel like a child who wants to beg for forgiveness but is afraid to say it. Haha, everyone, your strength is really pitiful. I said, if you have an afterlife, go to the outside world and take more risks. The real world can only be seen in the afterlife. Jia Yan still shook his head pitifully for them. Puff. While he was speaking, another elementary level being from the galaxy died under his powerful feet. To deal with these powerhouses at the beginning of the galaxy, Jia Yan didn't even need to use any special fighting methods. He didn't use subspace or any of the recently developed yin and yang dao fighting methods. He just used his ordinary body fighting skills. It's completely sufficient. Ah, go to hell. A strong man at the beginning of the galaxy completely collapsed under such terrible pressure. He did not run away or beg for mercy, but suddenly charged towards Jia Yan. Hee. Puff. It was another gentle stabbing, as simple as killing a first-level being in the galaxy, no different from killing a chicken. That's right, it's just killing chickens. Jia Yan feels that it's really easy to kill these mere galaxy beginners in the peaceful starry sky. In the past, it might have been easier to kill such a powerful person at the beginning of the galaxy, but I didn't do it to this extent. Jia Yan thought for a moment, then continued his work, came to the other Zinged novice and killed him. In the blink of an eye, there were only 5 people left in the Zing primary team that had just run out to find out what kind of powerful person was coming, and these 5 were about to collapse in despair. They can't ask for mercy, they can't escape, and they can't win by launching a counterattack. In this situation, what else can they do? What do you want? Another Galaxy Novice strongman saw that Jia Yan had just killed a Galaxy Novice, and finally found an opportunity to speak, and said these words that did not involve begging for mercy or harsh words. Sure enough, when he said this, Jia Yan did not kill him. Otherwise, with Jia Yan's speed, he might not be able to finish his words and die. What do I want? Aren't you intruders? Why do I want what I want and not what you want? Jia Yan was still smiling, with a fake smile on his face. We just want to protect ourselves. Whoever has a powerful force next to them will not choose to resist. The first-level powerhouse from the galaxy screamed with an extremely ugly face. Oh? So do you think the yin-yang sect I established is strong? This, Your Excellency, is an existence at the middle level of the galaxy, or even above the middle level of the galaxy, so, therefore, this is not considered strong. Very well, you are very fair, so. Jia Yan nodded, feeling very much in agreement with this person. But his pace suddenly quickened, he rushed to the unbelieving strong man and stabbed his foot into his abdomen. So if you want to die first, I'll let you die quickly. Jia Yan's brainwave power, in his disbelief, exploded with force, killing his head before he felt too much pain. This is the greatest kindness he has shown. After all, he said that he would kill all the beginners in the galaxy, so he couldn't let them go. A strong man at the top of the middle level in the galaxy could promise a lot of money. There are only the last few galaxy-level people left. None of them know what to say. They just feel that everything they say is useless. That terrifying and despairing giant mosquito is a mosquito that makes them helpless. The terrible shadow is frightening them and taking away their lives. This giant mosquito showed no mercy. Even though they almost gave up resistance, they didn't hold back at all. They just killed them step by step. Within 2 minutes, this land of stars suddenly became quiet. The huge fleets around have actually sensed the battle in this starry sky for a long time. After all, a group of galaxy-level powerhouses are fighting. The movement is nothing compared to the explosion of stars. How can it not be noticed? So they came here to investigate one by one, but what they saw was that the galaxy-level existence, the leader of each of their families, was killed one by a powerful man who was so terrifying that it made people despair. The giant mosquito killed all the junior bosses of the galaxy, and then slowly, step by step, walked towards the armies of the 13 alliances among a large number of corpses. In the starry sky, this big mosquito seemed to be strolling around. There were many exploration machines around, but none of them dared to step forward. And they didn't dare to get too close. After all, their leaders were like chickens, killed by this strong man. They knew that this strong man could easily kill all their coalition forces. The terrible existence of destruction. Finally, this terrifying giant mosquito walked to a large military camp. The scale of the 13 families coalition was unprecedentedly powerful. When the warships in the military camp were joined together, they were like a terrifying row of stars, occupying a large area of the starry sky. In comparison, his body, which is only 30 kilometers in size, is like an incomparably small asteroid. Compared with the land occupied by the coalition forces covering an area of tens of thousands of kilometers, it is not worth mentioning at all. But with such a huge coalition, among them, there were even several battle stars the size of asteroids in front of the coalition forces, without the slightest fear. Even the coalition forces were trembling with fear, and no one dared to resist. Well, you have also seen that your leaders are the first to attack me. In this universe, the law of the strong is absolute. Even if you think of yourself as a peaceful starry sky, this has not changed at all. So I respect the law and kill them all in one fell swoop. If you want to blame, you can only blame the universe itself. Jia Yan spoke calmly. Now I will announce your future. You don't need to be merged into our yin-yang sect, but from now on, you will be supervised and developed by our yin-yang section. You will pay tribute and collect taxes every year. If you are willing, please contact the external contacts of the yin-yang sect. You can do it if you don't want to, but the day when our yin-yang sect will have an iron sword to step into your power, it's up to you how you decide. Jia Yan said this calmly, and then, without any destruction or threats, he retreated into the subspace and left quickly. For Jia Yan, this action was just a small attempt at strength after he was promoted to the top of the intermediate galaxy. Jia Yan had already been able to easily deal with a group of primary warriors from the galaxy, but if he tried to do it now, it would be like an adult bullying a baby, and he would be indifferent at all. It's just that in this starry sky, these galaxy-level alliances are a bit uncomfortable, especially when Jia Yan's previous strength has not been fully recovered. He is still a little worried about them, so killing these galaxy-level powerhouses is not enough. It made Jia Yan feel a little relieved. After a little venting, comes the real main course. Black sheep. There was a glimmer of light in Jia Yan's eyes. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2134. Within the starry sky, the entire yin-yang sect fleet was completely assembled. The nearest yin-yang sect was blocked one by a group of galaxy-level powerful men from the outside world. Even the ordinary people in the yin-yang sect knew that the war was about to break out. Everyone's face was filled with solemnity, and even the army was on its way. Arriving at the border, he prepared to fight to the death with the invading alliance of 13 galaxy-level powerhouses. The yin-yang sect has now become the best sect in the heart that governs the earth. The key point is that the yin-yang dao of the yin-yang sect is simply a magic weapon. After all, the yin-yang dao is extremely unique even if it is placed within the entire galaxy's central star territory, and a cultivation method with great advantages. It is like a bright light in this small peaceful star field. Anyone with a certain knowledge will understand that if you miss this cultivation method, then not only yourself, but also future generations. You will regret it for the rest of your life. So if someone wanted to cause damage and invade such a good sect, they would definitely rise up to resist. Each one of them would be determined to die and want to drive these 13 alliances out of the yin-yang sect. Of course, if they can avoid starting a war, they still think it is best not to start a war. Everything depends on the decision of the top management. After all, there is a galaxy level in their own family, and they can even join forces with those mysterious star level seniors. Fighting a Zing level will make the 11 Zing level surrender and then give up attacking the yin-yang section. In this way, the yin-yang sect in the future will develop more smoothly if it is recognized by the local strong men. And those who can survive until then are the true future disciples of the yin-yang sect. So they are all preparing for it, and at the same time, everyone is thinking about how to protect themselves in this battle. Huh? What? The war is over. On this day, a half-star strong man guarding the country's gate was even prepared to die, but he received a communication from above, saying that the alert could be lifted. But he was completely confused. Even if the alert was lifted, it was impossible for him to let go of the army immediately, because these troops could hardly be gathered together. Some of them were local strong men. If there was anything else after they left, dangerous, a bit difficult to assemble. But after he listened to a few more sentences, he suddenly stood up from his seat. This, you, please say one more thing? Section. The sect leader personally took action, to completely annihilate the enemy 13th, and galaxy level in one battle. This, how can it be? He was so stunned that he had no idea what he heard and thought he was dreaming. Because the person above the communication on the other end actually said something he couldn't understand. What is the sect leader personally took action and defeated the 13 primary enemies of the galaxy with one person, without sparing anyone, and killed them all. He understood every word of these words and could be combined together. Said, he could not understand a word. It seems, probably, the meaning of this statement is that the yin-yang sect where he belongs has won the war? What the hell, it seems like the war didn't even start, why did it end? Also, my sect leader, yin-yang, personally took action and eliminated the 13 enemy bosses? Is it possible? When this half-star was confused by what he said in the communication and couldn't understand it for a long time, the other party obviously understood his emotions and explained for a while before he slowly hung up the communication. Then, this half-star trembled all over. Awesome, that's awesome, holy, that's awesome, that's awesome. Have we joined such a terrifying sect? The sect leader killed 13 galaxy novices with just one person. What kind of strength is this? Intermediate level of galaxy? Our yin-yang sect has such a terrifying sect leader, are you afraid that the sect will not prosper? This half-star's eyes finally burst out with extremely blazing light. He decided to perform better and ascend to a higher position within the yin-yang sect with infinite future prospects, because he understood that the cultivation techniques of his sect could actually give birth to middle-level stars in the galaxy. For the above-mentioned experts, this kind of cultivation method can already make people think infinitely, so he believes that he should practice well and learn to reach advanced levels in the future. By the way, I also want to pass on this news. Haha, I can feel that their mood will be very similar to mine, and they will probably be dumbfounded. I will inform you myself. I just want to know when those guys below hear this. What kind of expression will you have when you hear the news? Ha ha ha. This semi-star powerhouse started to play tricks. Scenes like this can be seen everywhere in the defensive positions surrounding the yin-yang sect. And not long after, something even more shocking happened to them. That is, those big forces who had lost their masters actually put down their mentality one by one, and even completely surrendered. They came to the land of yin-yang sect one by one and expressed their respect for yin-yang sect, which was extremely backward and the people's fighting power was weak. No one dares to have the slightest friction with the strong men of the yin-yang sect, because they know that if friction occurs again, then their power will definitely be destroyed. Because the yin-yang sect has a top strong man, who is even much stronger than all the strong men around him, so in the entire sect, chickens and dogs ascend to heaven. Ah! Can we go back, and take the enemy's warship? Did we lose? No way. Little Billy, Aopin and others, who were far away in the chaotic starry sky, received the news relatively late, and what they received was relatively confusing news. They only knew that they could go home and take advantage of the enemy's warships. You can be completely assured of their attacks. As a result, both of them were a little disappointed, feeling that their sect had lost. But when he inquired more clearly, Aopin's eyes bulged out of his sockets. You are saying that it was actually our yin-yang sect who won, and after our master left here that day, he visited the base camp of their 13 powerful men, and defeated the 13 primary level galaxies in one go. Kill them all and end this war with force. It's bad for the whole person to be drunk. He had already seen it last time. The black weapon his master used must be extremely powerful, but he never expected that his old man would actually single-handedly kill the enemy's lair deep inside, and then kill all the enemies. Army boss, kill him in one go. This battle was actually eliminated like this. Moreover, it should be eliminated with the victory of yin-yang section. I don't seem to be worthy of master. I am really lucky to be his old man's apprentice. At this moment, Daopin was still a little confident in his strength, but he didn't dare to say any more. A mere beginner star, after practicing the yin and yang dao of the yin-yang sect, could not even beat an ordinary intermediate star. At the beginning level, he is really not worthy of being the disciple of a strong person who is at least an intermediate level in the galaxy. He looked at the senior sister next to him and sighed. This senior sister had no sense of crisis because she was still too young and ignorant. If she was sensible, she would understand how much pressure she would have in the future as a disciple of such a strong man. Wow, we won, haha, I knew it. Master is too strong, haha, I knew it. Billy really didn't think that much. She only knew how to simply celebrate her victory, and as a member of a force, that's what she should do. Well, then let's get on the Losers battleship and see how they entertain us. Aopin smiled slightly and looked into the distance to see the enemy fleets that were still confronting them. He couldn't hide the joy of victory. These days are a time for everyone in the Yin-Yang sect to rejoice. But everyone discovered that the sect leader who single-handedly created this legendary victory did not show up. It's just that the sect leader has always been like this, and these people have long been accustomed to it, so they are not surprised at all. But probably everyone doesn't know that Jia Yan today has already left the peaceful star territory where the Yin-Yang sect is located. Ha ha ha. Within 10 degrees of subspace, Jia Yan, who was pushed forward by the Etissa, silently felt the distorted feeling of the outside world. Very good. With my current strength, I actually have some understanding of the 10-dimensional space. Etisha, please stop the advancement of the Etisha and let me try it myself. Don't worry. Jia Yan's eyes flashed with brilliance, and he asked Etisha to control the Etisha and stop its progress. Puff. When the Etissa stopped advancing, Jia Yan felt a tearing pain all over his body. He quickly activated his subspace talent to move forward as quickly as possible, causing the same effect as the Etisha's advancement. It is a pity that although he succeeded in making his body move forward quickly, the speed could not be compared with when the Etissa was advancing. Therefore, the tearing and twisting of the outside world continued to swallow up his body, and then caused the exoskeleton to collapse. Some are in danger of being destroyed. Okay, let's resume pushing. Even though he might be injured, Jia Yan calmly gave up his advancement in the 10-dimensional space and handed it over to the Etisha. Puff. The Etisha regained its power again and pushed Jia Yan forward. In this way, I understand that after the improvement of the subspace talent, it is close to the ability to freely come and go in 10 subspaces, but it is still a little bit short. It is estimated that this ability will have to wait until I am promoted to the Domain Master. Only with strength can we achieve. Jia Yan felt a little pity, but after thinking about it, he shook his head again. Actually, it's worth being happy. This is the 10th dimension. It has always been a place beyond my reach. Within the 10th dimension, I have almost never felt any threat. Even the existence of the Domain Master is difficult. Wherever I hit, I have acquired the ability to move in the 10th dimension, which means that if I were in the 9th dimension, I would be almost completely adapted, which is a great thing. Jia Yan felt that he couldn't aim too high. Being able to move in a small amount in 10 dimensions was enough to make him happy. Perhaps the whole Yin-Yang sect is cheering now. But they don't know that their sect leader has already gone outside the entire star field, and is even preparing for the next battle of life and death. Jia Yan feels that the life of a people within a force is actually quite good. Jia Yan is just a hard worker, always running around, but has not joined any force or country that can protect him. During the time when the Zerg Queen was in power, he did not enjoy much sense of security. This was the reason why Jia Yan left decisively, because the other party did not fulfill his promise. Of course, this matter had nothing to do with the Zerg Queen herself. To her, Jia Yan is very grateful, because she can be regarded as giving him a little more protection and a half-master-like figure in his full adventure career. Jia Yan is not a white-eyed wolf. He will remember whoever treats him well. If the Zerg Queen treats him well, he will remember it. It's just that he and the Zerg Queen are destined to be different strangers. The two parties only have a temporary joint cooperation relationship. Jia Yan has also done a lot to help the Zerg Queen's forces. Although it seems that it is not enough to repay the favor, but this return, he was ready to fulfill his obligations. But all this, all on the premise that he has defeated the Black Sheep. I don't know if my current strength is any better than that of Black Sheep. There was a hint of brilliance and ruthless ferocity in Jia Yan's eyes. Black Sheep instigated outsiders to sneak attack on him, and it is very likely that the Zerg Queen saw all this, but did not stop it, or let it go. This is what Jia Yan is most dissatisfied with the Zerg Queen. Of course, she is maybe she didn't pay too much attention, or if Jia Yan's life was really in danger, she would help him, but she didn't expect that when Jia Yan went out on a mission, he would also be attacked by the enemy. She can't blame her too much. In short, Jia Yan now is just thinking about whether he can defeat Black Sheep. After defeating Black Sheep, if he wins, he can say some high-sounding words of reconciliation to Black Sheep, and then help her in the Zerg Queen's power for a period of time to repay his kindness, but if Black Sheep does anything else during this period, then Jia Yan will be merciless. But if he loses, he will probably not die, because he will try his best to challenge the Black Sheep with the Zerg Queen by his side. The Zerg Queen will not sit back and watch this happen. If he loses, he will go far away, but he will once again owe the Zerg Queen for saving his life, which will be difficult to repay in the future. Think about it carefully, and then work hard to improve all available strengths at the moment. After all, the Black Sheep I face is a creature that may reach the level of Domain Lord. Even if he has not been promoted, I have the peak strength of the Galaxy Intermediate level. Who was just promoted, and is almost perfect compared to him, there is still a certain gap, and the gap needs to be made up by various advantages such as Yin and Yang Dao. After thinking about it, even for a being like Jia Yan, it is difficult to analyze whether he can defeat Black Sheep. Everything is unknown.